Gazing at his reflection in the mirror, our protagonist, Kai Keltarian, found it nearly impossible to believe his eyes, realizing he had somehow been transmigrated. It was true, he had been reborn into the body of someone named Kai Keltarian. Appearing in a VR game called Mythological Defense, he was the youngest son of the prestigious sword-wielding house of Marquis Keltarian, one of the family members involved in the main events during the game's early stages. However, during the events centered around the protagonist, he was soundly defeated and met a miserable end with just a single strike from the villain's henchman. He was nothing more than a supporting character, and that very character was now none other than Kai himself. Still unable to fully process it, Kai reached up to pinch his cheek to check, and only after letting out a pained yelp did he finally accept the reality. "Ouch, that hurt. This definitely isn't a dream," Kai muttered. Yet the longer he stared at himself in the mirror, the more hopeless he felt. How is this possible? Me, Li Hayu, the world's top-ranked player in Mythological Defense, stuck inside this useless character. Speaking of the game, Mythological Defense was a fantasy-themed defense game, a virtual reality experience that would become a global sensation by the year 2030. Its difficulty was so demonic that no one had managed to clear it in 15 years, yet its intoxicating allure and addictive gameplay kept it constantly trending. And to go into more detail based on the gameplay and quest completion, you would earn points on the global leaderboard, while rare quests and valuable items would significantly boost your score. Throughout those 15 real-world years, I had been completely immersed in Mythological Defense, mastering everything from rare magic circles to legendary crafting recipes. With my overwhelming score, I was truly the living legend of Mythological Defense. That was me, Li Hayu. And now, I've ended up inside a character like this. Even the main character with the best talents couldn't clear the game, so how the hell am I supposed to survive in this world? Kai sighed deeply. Finished with that, Kai began to focus on the character he had taken over, and since he had played the game so many times, he remembered Kai Keltarian's fate all too clearly. The ultimate goal in Mythological Defense was to stop the dark forces, and the one who summoned those dark powers was actually the second son of the Keltarian family, Adolf, in his desperate attempt to seize the position of family head. In his drive to take over the Keltarian estate, Adolf sought out dark power and ignited a rebellion. Eventually, the Keltarian territory became a base for the dark forces, those who had coveted human land from the very beginning. And in all that chaos, the incompetent and weak Kai Keltarian had apparently met his end. Thinking this, Kai collapsed onto his bed. I could just leave the territory before the rebellion starts. But there was a bigger problem. This character suffered from a terminal illness. It was a disease where the mana veins were completely blocked within his body. In this world, mana was the source of both aura and magic. However, in rare cases, people were born with blocked mana channels, known as those suffering from terminal illness, meaning they couldn't absorb the nutrients necessary for life and growth, and most died before turning 20. The only cure for this disease was to absorb natural mana into the body, but since the veins were blocked from the start, absorbing mana was impossible. In other words, being diagnosed with this condition was essentially receiving a death sentence. Kai Keltarian had been diagnosed since he was a child, leading to total despair and the fear of death. Worried about the time he had left, frustrated by his inability to fight back. Eventually, his personality became twisted, and it didn't take long for him to become the disgrace of his family. In the end, his father, the head of the Keltarian house, locked him away in a side room to keep him from causing trouble, and as Kai thought about this, several memories began to surface. The original Kai grinding his teeth in frustration at being locked up. "You think I'm a joke? Are you looking down on me?" After saying that, Kai grabbed a chair in the room and threw it straight at the door in front of him, creating an incredibly loud noise. Then he glared forward with the eyes of a mad dog. "You should all die, all of you." The image faded. Kai could only be left speechless by these actions. This guy is beyond saving. He shook his head in disappointment before turning his thoughts back to his own situation. Even in the game, I felt this guy was a hopeless case. He was so rotten that even his terminal illness didn't make me feel sorry for him. Time to reassess the situation, so I'm stuck as Kai. Kai is the youngest son of a marquis, but the family is on the verge of collapse. He has no talent for swordplay or magic, his lifespan is short, and his personality is terrible. His reputation is in the gutter, and he's being held prisoner by his own family. The more he thought, the darker the protagonist's face became. "I'm finished. Whether I stay or run away, I'm done for. I'm trapped in a losing game," Kai thought bitterly. "How can I even survive in this world? Isn't it supposed to be that when you get reincarnated, you get some kind of cheat ability? Like a status window, for instance," Kai said in irritation, and as if the heavens had heard his plea, they decided to grant the kid a few favors. Suddenly, countless glowing, light blue orbs appeared all around Kai, Seeing this, Kai's eyes lit up with surprise. And in a reflex action, he reached out and touched one of the floating orbs. "What is this? I never had this before," he said, bewildered. The moment his finger made contact, the orb let out a brilliant burst of light, leaving Kai completely clueless as to what was happening. Then a voice echoed in his ears. "You have awakened. 2 new talents have been bestowed upon you. The status window has been unlocked. You may now use Insight." Insight would activate automatically. Looking at this, even someone as dense as Kai understood that his life was about to level up. "There it is, status window, let's see." As he spoke, Kai looked at his status board with excitement. "Let's see what kind of game-breaking talent I've been gifted." Cultivation, 13 years old, talents, Insight, Monopath, physical traits, no monopaths, alcoholic, weak mind, gaunt. Reading this, Kai stroked his chin. "All right, the talents gifted to me are Monopath and Insight. Insight lets me see detailed stats, that much I get, but what is Monopath? I've never seen a talent like this before. Judging by the name, it seems related to magic, but isn't the best magic talent Mana Companion?" Kai wondered. However, his gut told him that this was even more extraordinary than Mana Companion. "I think this is a top-tier talent. Now nothing can stop me. The best magic talent is supposed to be Mana Companion, right? But I have a strong feeling that this talent will be even better than Mana Companion." As he spoke, Kai reached out to touch a glowing light orb. Suddenly, the orb was sucked into his body, just like a magnet. Along with it, a restless sensation, as if a source of energy were moving through his arm, emerged, and this made Kai more certain of his theory. It's definitely a top-level ability, because even when I had Mana Companion, I couldn't see things like this before. This is pure mana energy. If I can absorb it properly, the mana will flow through my body as I command, breaking through the barriers. Thinking this, Kai began to sense the energy and tried to control its movement through his body, gritting his teeth in concentration as he gathered the energy. To force it to break through the block at his elbow, and to make it easier, he shaped the mana into a sharp drill to pierce through the obstruction. "Let's go," Kai shouted, and it actually worked. The powerful energy surged past the barrier, circulating through part of his arm. Compared to his whole body, it wasn't much, but it was enough to bring a smile to Kai's face. "It works. The mana is flowing right now only up to my elbow, but if I keep gathering it and keep clearing the path, I can overcome the barrier of this damn terminal illness. That's right, I'm not going to die," Kai said with a smile. Cutting to the scene of a certain maid, she placed a plate of food on the table and nodded. "Done. I have to get this to him before it gets cold," she thought to herself. But at that moment, another maid's voice rang out from nearby. "Wait, oh Ursil, don't take that to young Master Kai. We've decided to stop serving young Master Kai for a while." To protest his behavior after a few days of hunger, his mindset might change, so put that soup down right now. "Yeah, that's right," the person next to her agreed. Faced with their demand, Ursil was left stunned for a moment. But then she refused. "Do whatever you want, I'm going to do my job." Seeing her respond like that, the blue-haired maid's attitude shifted and she barked, "Hey, do you think you're the only one with a sense of nobility?" She swung her hand, striking the plate of food and sending it spilling across the floor. Then she began to scream, "Do you still think you're an aristocrat? How dare you act so arrogant after your family fell and you were sold into slavery?" The blue-haired girl saw her accomplice was acting too extreme and reached out to stop her. Meanwhile, Ursil seemed not to care and just knelt down to start cleaning up the mess. Seeing this, the other maid became even angrier. "She's ignoring us. Are you going to keep up that attitude?" As she spoke, she raised her hand to slap Ursil, but a sharp shout suddenly echoed. "What's with all the noise?" Hearing the voice, everyone stopped and turned to find a muscular young man with blonde hair. Seeing him, the two bullies became stunned. "Master Leonhardt, why are you in the kitchen?" the blue-haired girl asked, terrified. However, Leonhardt had no intention of answering that question. He only cast a glance at the food scattered on the floor and immediately understood what had happened. Then he thought with disgust, "These good-for-nothings are bothering her again." He sighed and gave an order. "That was the meal for young Master Kai, wasn't it? It's past mealtime, prepare it again and take it up quickly." "Yes, sir," Ursil replied in a hurry. Seeing the young man appear, the other two didn't dare do anything more to Ursil. So she quickly prepared the meal and brought it to Kai. Returning to our protagonist, he was still excitedly researching his new system, Insight and Mana Path. "By using these two talents, I can change the fate of the fallen Marquis family. I've played mythological defense for 15 years, so I have near-prophetic information. Plus, I was born with the power and wealth of a Marquis family. It's not impossible to block the dark forces." Thinking this, Kai began to form a plan. "Right, I need to focus on 3 main tasks. First, I'll clear my mana veins, overcome the barrier of that damn disease, and learn magic. Since Mana Path specializes in magic, becoming a mage makes more sense than a knight. Second, I have to prevent the fall of the Marquis family. The more successful the family, the more successful I'll be. The House of Cultivation is strong in reputation, skill, and wealth. It will be a solid shield for me. And finally, the third thing, this is the most important part. That is to gather talent to prepare for the dark forces attack. In the coming years, I will use my knowledge to identify people with potential and make them my own. They will become a reliable force. By building my strength, I'm certain I'll survive. To gather talent, I should start with those close by, or maybe start with Leon. Or maybe start with Leonhardt, he's a useful tank NPC, Kai muttered. At the same time, the young girl. Ursil brought food to Kai. Young Master Kai, I've brought your meal, she said calmly, as soon as he looked at Ursil. A few images from Kai's memory appeared in his mind again. The girl who just arrived, what was her name? Ursil or something, the general muttered, stroking his chin. Before his insight skill automatically activated. Insight activated. Target is low level. Insight probing individual essence. The system notification sound rang out, and then a status board for Ursil appeared before Kai, leaving him slightly surprised. With the insight talent, I can see other people's information. Name, Ursil, 12 years old, talents, eternal friend of spirits, housework traits, calm, hardworking, affection level, 30. Reading this, Kai's eyes widened as he discovered Ursil seemed to possess a terrifying talent. Wait a minute, eternal friend of spirits, that's a top-tier spirit summoning talent. As he spoke, he stared intensely at the screen in front of him. However, since Ursil couldn't see the system screen, she only saw Kai staring at her face, so she spoke up to remind him. Please enjoy your meal. Ah, right, Kai nodded. Then, after taking the food tray from the girl, Kai watched her back and was slightly confused. Why was this girl, someone with the talent to become a genius spirit summoner, working as a maid in a place like this? To explain that, one had to go back a year to a certain auction, where the masked man presiding over it said, "Ladies and gentlemen, focus your attention here. Today we have a very special item. Something you won't easily see elsewhere. We had a very hard time getting her." As he spoke, he pointed to Ursil, who was walking out onto the stage with a blank face. Now, let me show you. Let me introduce the third daughter of a baronial family, Ursil. She is a fallen aristocrat with poise and intelligence. Please start the bidding, he said with a smile. And as if he had successfully stirred the crowd's interest, a series of hands went up. 50 gold, 70 gold, 90 gold. On the side, Leonhardt, who was next to Kai, felt uneasy and reminded him, "Young Master Kai, let's leave. Slave auctions aren't worth watching." The words were barely out of his mouth when Kai suddenly raised his hand to bid. 300 gold, he said coldly. The auctioneer above was overjoyed and shouted, 300 gold, we have 300 gold, does anyone want to bid higher? Turning to Leonhardt, he called out, "Are you really going to buy a slave? What will your father say?" "Stop nagging me, I'll spend my money however I want. Besides, my father doesn't care what I do," Kai shouted. Meanwhile, the auctioneer saw no other hands raised and declared, 300 gold, Ursil is sold for 300 gold. Hearing that, Kai threw away his mask, stepped in front of Ursil and said, "From now on you belong to me." Then, as a wealthy young master, Kai proceeded with the transaction and claimed his person, and the first thing he did was take off Ursil's handcuffs. "There, you're free now. You aren't a slave anymore because I bought you. So you can go wherever you like," Kai said calmly, and then he turned and walked away immediately. Meanwhile, this action left Ursil bewildered. "Go wherever I like, but you just said I belong to you. I'll follow you," she said, tugging on Kai's sleeve. "Do whatever you want," he replied. The memory ended there, and Kai finally understood everything. So this was Kai's memory. So the reason Ursil became a maid for the Marquis family was because Kai had bought her just before she was sold into slavery. She had been through too much for someone so young. But it seems like I've truly merged with this guy. I can even feel the emotions Kai had for Ursil. It's very vivid, a shared sense of being abandoned by the world and unable to control one's fate. As he spoke, he casually took a spoonful of food and stuffed it into his mouth. And from the very first bite, Kai's eyes lit up. "Did you make this yourself?" Hearing that, Ursil, who had been about to leave, was startled and asked, "Yes, is something wrong? It's not very good. You're a great cook." "Make it for me again next time," Kai said with a smile, across from him. Ursil's face flushed and a screen appeared before Kai displaying, "Affection plus 35. Affection 35, huh?" Even though the two had such a dramatic meeting, the affection level wasn't very high. However, after seeing that bad behavior, it's a miracle she still has any affection at all, Kai thought to himself. Then he began to sift through his memories. In mythological defense, there was no spirit mage NPC named Ursil, so she must have been caught up in the rebellion within the Marquis family and died before her talent as a spirit mage truly blossomed. But this time I won't let that happen. I won't let such a precious talent slip away right before my eyes. Thinking it was better to act, Kai asked, "Ursil, have you ever thought about learning spirit magic?" "Spirit magic," she said with a puzzled voice, and Kai nodded firmly. "Yeah, I think you might have some talent for it." Hearing this, Ursil's face became pensive and she replied, "I never imagined I would have a talent for spirit magic." Returning to Kai, he wasn't too surprised by her answer. It seemed she hadn't been exposed to spirit magic even when she was at home. Spirit magic was known for being exceptionally expensive, so it was likely something a low-ranking noble family couldn't afford to teach her. I'll have to worry about that later, Kai thought, then continued. Is that so? Then you should start thinking about it because you're going to learn it. But Ursula stammered, but before she could explain or say anything else, Kai stopped her. No refusals, Ursula, you must follow my lead. Because now you belong to me, Kai asserted resoundingly. And for some reason, seeing his incredibly confident demeanor, Ursula's affection for him suddenly jumped by 50. Time passed quickly. A few days later, when Kai wanted to step outside, he was immediately blocked by the knight Leonhardt, who stood at the door to stop him. Step aside, I'm going out, Kai ordered. However, the stubborn young man didn't budge even a single centimeter. No, he said coldly. Seeing this, the flames of anger in Kai's heart began to blaze like a furnace. I haven't been allowed outside for days. Do you expect me to be locked up here forever? Kai shouted angrily. And responding to that statement was a terrifying look on Leonhardt's face. Have you forgotten what the head of the family said? About that, Kai said with a blank expression, while secretly wanting to slap his former self a few times because thanks to all those stupid actions of his in the past, Kai's hands and feet were now tied no matter what he wanted to do, and more importantly, he couldn't even talk back. This delinquent had caused so much trouble that Marquis Cultivation had to lock him up in his room. But there wasn't much time left. Mana seeds, ever since discovering that he could open the doors. Mana pathways, I have been absorbing the mana in the room every day. Although there isn't enough mana to open the pathways all at once like the first day, it accumulates in my body like experience points in a game. And my physical condition is gradually improving, but this is still not enough to cure that fatal illness. I need to go outside and gather more mana. Kai screamed inwardly. Next, to trick this guy Leonhardt, he forced the most fake-looking smile he could muster and said, I'm not going far, I'm just taking a short walk around here. I'm just taking a short walk around here, I need some exercise. Across from him, the blonde-haired guy listened to Kai's words as if he were hearing a fairy tale. Exercise? This is the first time you've ever come up with a reason like that, he asked doubtfully. And that look of staring at an alien slightly wounded Kai's pride. What do you take me for? Oh no, after years of being your bodyguard, Kai, this is the first time I've ever heard you say that, he explained, making Kai's eyes roll back like a dying person. My reputation is so terrible, my trustworthiness is zero. Who would have thought this guy was such an unyielding wall? It's impossible to reason with him. Thinking of this, Kai sighed inwardly again and thought about this blonde knight. Leonhardt is currently Kai Cultivatian's bodyguard. But originally, he was a very popular character in mythical defense with excellent skills in both defense and offense, as well as high potential. He could be developed into a captain-class knight and act as a tank in parties, and he was also deeply loved by players for his loyal trait, ensuring he would never betray. In the original game, after the Marquis family collapsed, he became a wandering knight and could be recruited by the player. But right now, because the second son's rebellion hasn't happened yet, Leonhardt naturally remains at Marquis Cultivatian's mansion. Just think, such a talented person is being wasted as a babysitter for a good-for-nothing like me. What on earth is the captain of the Cultivatian Knights doing? The more he thought about it, the more depressed Kai felt, and he asked, Why are you here? Across from him. Scarcely had he heard that when the atmosphere around the knight Leonhardt suddenly shifted, and then he glared at Kai with a dark face and a terrifying voice. Do you have a problem with me being your bodyguard? At the same time, affection dropped by 60, terrifying the protagonist. Affection went down, saying this to salvage the situation. He hurriedly explained, No, it's not that I have a problem with you, it's just that you have way too much talent for this job, idiot, Kai muttered inwardly. In replying to his words, Leonhardt calmly answered, I'm just following the family head's orders. Back to Kai. At this moment, his gaze turned serious as he realized something. Oh, so Leonhardt's loyalty wasn't to him, but to the family head Renton Cultivatian. Well, that's easy to understand. Who would want to be loyal to someone like me? But Leonhardt, once you've caught my eye, you're mine. Having thought that, Kai spoke up. Then Leonhardt, you need to convince my father. Is there something different about you, Kai? Leonhardt's eyes flashed with surprise. While Kai also asked back, Do you agree? My second project to recruit talent is none other than you, Leonhardt, he muttered. No way you'll help me, right? Kai asked further, however. At this moment, Leonhardt was somewhat suspicious because Kai's attitude seemed different from usual and unable to contain his curiosity. He began to scrutinize Kai with a probing gaze and asked, Young Master Kai, what are you plotting? Plotting? What plot do you mean? You really don't trust me at all? Kai mumbled, and then he explained with his most sincere expression, My mindset just changed because I was stuck in the room for too long. Your mindset has changed? Leonhardt asked with a frown. Kai nodded affirmatively. That's right, I've decided I want to live longer. Hearing this, the blonde guy's face stiffened. He wants to live longer. For someone like young Master Kai, who had given up on everything because of an incurable fatal disease, to say something like that, thinking of this, Leonhardt began to remember the previous instructions from family head Renton. Kai probably won't live past 20, not only lacking magical talent but also lacking swordsmanship skills, and being the youngest means no chance of inheriting the family. Even so, I still want to keep someone by his side. Do you resent me for making such a decision?" At that time, the face of Leonhardt pondered for a moment and replied, "It is an immense honor for someone in the Celtarian Knight Order. To protect a direct descendant of the Marquis family, I will fulfill my duty faithfully," he said, bowing his head. Meanwhile, the old uncle stood up from his chair, turned toward the window, and spoke as he walked. "That's right. Leonhardt, you are a loyal man, which is why I want you by Kai's side. In this vast Marquis mansion, there is no one else I can truly trust to protect him except you, so Leonhardt, take good care of him." Thus, faced with this request from family head Renton, whether Leonhardt wanted to or not, he still bowed his head and said, "I obey." Returning to the story. At this moment, our protagonist, Kai, was still continuing to persuade the knight Leonhardt to let him go outside. "If I want to live longer, I also need a healthy body, right? So I'll exercise outdoors. You can tell that to my father and he'll understand, so I can go out now, right?" "Right," Kai said, turning left and right with extreme excitement as if he didn't want to stay in this place for another second. However, responding to his excitement, the expressionless knight reached out to block him and said that he could exercise indoors. Returning to Kai, he dropped his childish mode and shifted to an annoyed expression. "You really are stubborn," he thought inwardly before saying coldly, "Step aside, don't make me repeat myself. I need to go out, I need to find more mana cores," Kai screamed internally. Faced with his expression, the knight frowned thoughtfully. This aura. There's really something different about young Master Kai. Even so, after thinking that, his whole body. Having thought it over, a dangerous aura began to radiate from Leonhardt. "The Marquis' orders are absolute, and this applies to you as well, young Master Kai. But if you really want to go out, you'll have to get past me first." But on this side, Kai's face began to twitch slightly because he was painfully aware of where this danger was coming from. It was killing intent. Leonhardt, this bastard, is using killing intent on a child just to stop him from stepping outside. If I were just an ordinary 13-year-old child, I probably would have been so scared I'd have wet my pants and passed out on the spot. Fine. Wet my pants and passed out on the spot, fine. That's if I were just an ordinary 13-year-old child, Kai said while speaking, Kai began to gather energy inside his right arm and dispel the killing intent directed at him. "Keep your promise, Leonhardt," Kai said with a smile. Just like that, Kai easily passed this hurdle set by the knight. "So what about this? I've surpassed you," Kai asked, turning back. And next, the prisoner Kai finally escaped his cage to go outside and breathe the fresh air. The weather was currently evening by a certain lake. As soon as he got out there, the general heavily inhaled the air with an extremely refreshed expression. "The air is so fresh. How long has it been since I last went out?" he said happily, observing the surrounding scenery and feeling satisfied inside. Even though it's just the garden near the annex, this feeling of freedom. Is the night sky always this beautiful? And above all, mana particles are everywhere. I'm going to devour them all. Saying that, he began flying around everywhere to absorb the mana. Hey, and this action of his in Leonhardt's eyes was no different from acting like a fool. I never expected him to be this happy just from getting outside. I guess he's still just a child, Leonhardt thought, before he remembered the moment when the young master overcame the pressure he had created. How can it be? How is that possible? Young Master Kai has never practiced mana or aura, yet he could withstand pressure to this extent, he thought in surprise. Returning to Kai, the blonde knight's pensive expression fell into his sight, causing the young man to chuckle inwardly. It seemed he was still confused by what had happened earlier. He had good reason to be. The reason Kai could withstand Leonhardt's killing intent had a very simple answer. Physically, he might just be a 13-year-old noble boy who had never been in a real fight, but mentally, I am a veteran who survived countless virtual wars over 15 years in a virtual reality game. Mythical Defense is famous for its hyper-realistic simulations through virtual reality. I have become numb to breathless life-or-death moments, to witnessing scenes of breathless moments, to witnessing horrifying scenes, to wading through piles of corpses and being bathed in blood. A petty intimidation trick like killing intent is way too easy. Kai shook his head and thought to himself. But thinking of this, he turned his gaze toward the mana orbs beside him and nodded. This is enough. I can unblock even more mana pathways. I can unblock even more mana pathways outward. What a correct choice. At the same time, behind him, the knight Leonhardt stepped forward and said, I request punishment from the Marquis for my actions. Even though I was following the Marquis' orders, directing killing intent at the person I serve is wrong, therefore. No, before he could finish speaking, Kai understood what the guy wanted to say and stopped him. There's no need for that. But if you insist on telling my father, then add this as well. Kai didn't want Leonhardt to be punished. After reading the report, Renton's eyes couldn't hide his surprise as he asked for confirmation. Is it really true that Kai asked not to punish his subordinate? Leonhardt, should I believe this? Yes, my words are the absolute truth, he said in a very firm voice. It's not that I think you're lying, it's just, he exclaimed. and the knight could understand this. I understand because I couldn't believe my eyes either. When young Master Kai calmly faced my killing intent, I doubted what I saw. Across from him, Renton stroked his chin in thought upon hearing this. The fact that Kai could resist killing intent coming from a knight like you. What did Kai do afterwards in the garden? He asked. He meditated, he said, stating what he had witnessed. Recalling that times, Leonhardt looked at the young master sitting quietly and concentrating in front of him. You know how to meditate. Hearing the question, Kai replied, when I was little, the Marquis. I know my father taught me a few swordsmanship moves. Back then I also learned how to meditate, but I gave it up because I had no talent at all. Anyway, Leonhardt, while I'm meditating, don't let anyone get close to me. It'll break my concentration. Understood, he nodded in response. Returning to the story, Leonhardt reported. After that, Master Kai didn't move at all. He sat meditating there for 6 hours straight. 6 hours, not 6 seconds, Renton asked back. Yes, it was 6 hours. On this side, upon hearing that, Renton was genuinely baffled. That brat. When he was little, I tried to teach him swordsmanship. As a descendant of Cultivation, he naturally had to follow the path of a swordsman, and I also wanted him to grow stronger to overcome his fatal illness. But that kid, speaking of which, he began recalling the memory of teaching young Kai swordsmanship back when he was a child. At that time, who knows how long they practiced before the kid's whole body shook and he collapsed to the ground. Father, I can't. Father, I can't. My legs feel all tangled up, Kai said in pain, however. Faced with these weak words, Renton shouted, Get up, our family has never had a son as weak as this. Speaking of which, he disappointedly turned around and walked away. He doesn't have an ounce of swordsmanship talent. He lacks determination, lacks patience. He can't even endure basic training, yet that kid managed to meditate for 6 hours. Could he have bumped his head somewhere? How can someone change so fast? He wondered aloud. Meanwhile, the knight shook his head and added, I checked if there was anything strange in his food, but fortunately there were no issues. Speaking of which, he also remembered Kai's recent behavior. It's true that lately Master Kai has seemed unusual. Not just his determination, but even the way he looks at me is completely different from before. Returning to Renton, after a moment of pondering, he threw the reason behind Kai's sudden change to the back of his mind and expressed joy. Whatever, that's fine too. If he's finally starting to mature, that's good. Leonhardt, I'll let this slide. Keep watching over Kai. Yes, he nodded in reply, back to Kai. At this moment, a powerful flow of energy converged on his palm, accompanied by a system notification ringing out. Mana is overflowing, sharp perception skill enhanced. Your eyes can now accurately assess your physical condition. Hearing this, Kai felt satisfied. Very good. Next, a diagram of the mana pathways inside his body began to form in Kai's mind, and except for his right arm, all the other pathways were glowing red, indicating they were blocked. Good. Good, I'll shatter the mana pathways all the way to my heart, Kai thought to himself. Thinking is doing, and right after that, the protagonist shaped this mana flow into a drill shape and directly pierced through the barriers from his arm to his shoulder. From his arm to his shoulder, his throat, and finally his heart. At the same time, the system popped up a confirmation notification. The path to the heart has been cleared. The blocked pathway trait is weakening. At this moment, a gentle gust of wind flared around Kai, and he could clearly feel the power flowing inside his body. Done. I've gathered mana energy from the outside and cleared the path to the heart layer. Now I can use magic. Alright, time to start practicing magic seriously. He smiled as he felt the mana currents gathering inside his heart. To briefly explain the world's setting, in this world, to use magic, you need to create a circle near the heart. And the higher level magic you want to use, the more circles you need to create. The greater the number of circles required, the longer it takes to create those circles. That's why people who want to become mages need to start practicing magic from ages 5 to 8, and by age 12, they will create their first circle to be considered suitable for the path of a mage. By that standard, being 13 years old now means it's a bit late to start learning magic. But that's only if I were just an ordinary NPC. With the mana body talent, my situation is quite different. Now that mana is ready and has been cleared to the heart, I can finally learn magic. All I need to do now is create a circle, he said excitedly before remembering a problem of his own. But how do I create a circle? Should I follow the method taught in the game? Kai asked himself. And while he was still racking his brains over this issue outside, the knight Leonhardt's voice rang out. Master Kai, oh Leonhardt, it's you. The blonde guy had come to inform Kai that his house arrest had ended. And sure enough, right after Kai heard it, his eyes lit up. What? My father lifted the ban. Yes, on the condition that I accompany you. You are allowed to leave the room or take a walk in the garden, but you cannot leave the mansion, Leonhardt reminded him. But just being allowed out of the room was enough to make Kai go wild with joy inside. Awesome, I'm finally allowed to go to the garden. Truly a great start, Kai thought, smiling so hard his eyes crinkled. And this had a lot to do with Leonhardt. What a special person. It seems talking to my father as Leonhardt expected and winning his affection first was a good idea. Thinking of this, the young general noticed that Leonhardt's affection for him had increased by 30 points, from -50 to -20. And such a fast increasing number stopped him right in the middle of his joy. -20 affection? What did I do to get 30 extra affection points? Surely it wasn't the -50 affection when he blocked me at first. Could it be that he was moved seeing me meditate all night? No, after meditating for 6 hours, I was so tired I passed out. Could this guy be the type who likes sweat-hand tears sports-like scenes? Thinking of this, the boy suddenly remembered something. And turned to say to Leonhardt, "Just in time, Leonhardt, there's a place I need you to come with me." "Where are you planning to go?" he asked curiously. However, Kai didn't explain much and just told Leonhardt that he'd know by following him. "Just follow me and you'll see." Shifting scenes to the library area of the Cultivation family, the female librarian's face turned pale the moment she saw Kai arriving. "You, young Master Kai, why are you here?" The four-eyed girl stammered while Kai smiled and waved back, ignoring his smile. She hurriedly pushed Leonhardt aside and questioned him. "Wait, what's going on, Leonhardt? Wasn't Master Kai banned from the library?" She said worriedly, and Leonhardt gave her some bad news. The family had lifted the ban. "What?" she said in panic while beginning to recall past memories. When the young brat Kai came to the library to wreck things. "Master Kai, oh no, don't tear the books. Those books are extremely rare, they're the real deal. A rare book that I had to scour the entire empire to get." The four-eyed girl cried out, but Kai didn't care at all. "Who cares? It's just a bunch of paper you can't read once you're dead. Let me tear it to pieces and throw it away after this." After that, young Master Kai was banned from the library, wasn't he? She cried to Leonhardt. At the same time, those memories rushed back to Kai. Things like that happened, the stubbornness of this idiot, he thought wearily inside. Then Kai cleared his throat to get the attention of both of them. "I came to the library to read books. Do you think I'm here to burn it? Can you help me see if there are any books related to magic?" Hearing the question, the female manager withdrew her tears and replied, "Magic, it's not that there aren't any, but we only have introductory books for beginners. The Duke's family always focuses on swordsmanship, so there aren't many books on magic." "That's enough, bring me the book explaining how to create a circle," Kai smiled and said, and then, the magic book for beginners reached Kai's hands, though it had a slight issue. Mana, the power that creates all things, supernatural energy. Supernatural energy is a term defined by the scholar Roswa Erland, and it is tied to the story of this person's birth. Blah blah. In short, reading this far made Kai dizzy as it rambled on without getting to the main point. "This is an introductory book, right? Why is it so complicated? Get straight to the point," Kai said angrily before crying tears of frustration. Slumping over the book, Kai wept internally. Does a 7-year-old really need to understand this? It sounds like a college thesis. Usually in a game, a status window would pop up and it'd be learned automatically. Do I really have to read all of this? As if hearing his silent plea, the system appeared to help the poor guy out. The third eye has been activated. This is a beginner-level book, translating text now. No sooner had the sound faded than lines of incomprehensible text began to float up from the pages, accompanied by a loading screen that appeared right before Kai's eyes. Once the progress bar hit 100%, the system notified him that the introductory book had been translated, and Kai's eyes lit up like high beams. Wait, the third eye skill can even be used to read spellbooks. With the third eye, I can decode anything. No need to stay here any longer, Kai thought to himself and immediately turned to speak to the others. "Alice, bring me more introductory books on magic circles. I'll borrow all of them." Just like that, the young master simply returned to his room to wait, and soon enough, Leonhardt arrived with the books. "This is the final batch. I've brought every book you requested." "I've brought all the books you asked for," he said, and Kai turned to thank him. "Thanks for bringing these over." After saying that, he excitedly ran toward the pile of books. Meanwhile, Leonhardt felt a pang of concern seeing this. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" "What do you mean?" "What do you mean?" Kai asked back, and Leonhardt voiced his worry. "You've borrowed quite a lot at once, and it's made the librarian really anxious. Please return them in good condition. They're all rare books not widely sold in the Empire," she had said, and at that, Kai just shrugged. "Hey, don't worry, I'll finish reading them in no time. Is she worried I might burn them or something?" He began to whistle, letting the system learn the contents of the books, his cheerful demeanor catching Leonhardt off guard. "You used to hate reading, why the sudden interest?" He glanced at the pile of books Kai had already finished, which contained basics on mana usage and creating magic circles. Thinking this and seemingly guessing Kai's intention, he stepped closer to warn him. "Hamel's disease blocks the body's flow. Mana and Kai cannot circulate." Before he could finish, Kai stopped reading and replied, "Magic is hard to learn, so don't get your hopes up." "Is that what you were about to say?" "I apologize for speaking out of turn," Leonhardt said quickly, which didn't bother Kai in the slightest. He even nodded in agreement. "No, you're right. I know everyone in this family thinks like you. What I'm doing must seem very bizarre. But I'm the notorious outcast of the family. No one will be surprised if I act strangely once or twice more. Reading a book won't hurt anyone. Besides, I understand your concern. You're afraid I'll fail and sink back into despair. but as I said before, I have no intention of dying young. I don't plan on dying young, so I'll do everything in my power. Now sit back and watch, Kai said with a smile before returning to his corner. This confident posture reminded Leonhardt of the past. Back then, after Renton had left in disappointment, Kai hadn't been able to hold back his tears and started sobbing. Seeing that, Leonhardt had run over to ask, "Young Master Kai, why are you crying?" "Father says he doesn't need someone like me." Back then he was just a crybaby, but now Kai was intently reading his book. And seeing Leonhardt nearby tidying up the books, he glanced over. Then his eyes widened like a cow's. "One favor." "No, what is this? Wasn't it -30 just a moment ago? What caused it to jump by 30 points all of a sudden?" "Hey, you're scaring me," Kai thought to himself. Meanwhile, Leonhardt tossed a book onto the bed and said, "I'll wait outside. If you need anything, just call me." "Oh yeah, all right," Kai replied, feeling confused. "Is it because I'm reading? But why didn't anything change at the library? And doesn't he usually like perseverance? Maybe the fact that I devoured a whole pile of books at once counts as perseverance? A strange day indeed," Kai muttered. Regardless, Leonhardt was gone now. Finally alone, time to actually start reading. He activated his third eye skill to decode the text. And just like that, countless books began to be analyzed by the system. Even though he'd seen it once before, the protagonist couldn't help but be amazed seeing it a second time. The analysis speed was truly impressive, dozens of times faster than normal reading, and on top of that, the difficult parts of the material were being stored as easy-to-understand data. The analysis processed rapidly, with the system providing confirmation, principles of magic circle creation. Your understanding has increased, accelerating the decoding process. All books in the space had been decoded. Kai's eyes brightened. Oh, done. That was fast. Now for the next step, create a circle based on the decoded data. As he spoke, he tapped the human icon on the screen. Loading data from magic circle creation principles. You have understood the principles of circle creation. You have met the minimum requirements for the first circle. The sound faded and a circular ring of light formed in front of Kai. Seeing it, he muttered, "By guiding mana along this golden path, I can create a circle. Let's do it, move." Finishing that, Kai closed his eyes to focus on controlling the power in his body to form his first circle. At that moment, his entire body began to emit a significant amount of energy, blowing the books in the room flying. And in the process of forming it, a hint of pain flashed across his face. "My chest feels like it's burning near my heart, but I have to endure it. Otherwise, the mana will backlash and damage my internal organs. Just a little more, just a little more." Kai gritted his teeth, reminding himself, until the ring of light transformed into a circle made of countless strange runes, and then everything suddenly grew silent. Kai snapped back to reality. "Did I finish?" he asked himself, and in response, the system notified him, "You have created your first circle. The blocked veins have weakened. Mana body has been enhanced. You can now store refined mana in the circle." Hearing this, Kai couldn't contain his joy and shouted, "Now I can use magic properly. I did it, but it's already dawn. I've been up all night. Leonhardt and Ursiel will definitely scold me for this," Kai muttered. And right after that, he collapsed on the floor from exhaustion. At the same time, little Ursiel brought a tray of food into the room. "Master Kai, I've brought your breakfast." Before she could finish, she discovered the young master lying flat on the floor. She hurried over to check on him. "Master Kai, why are you on the floor, and what's with all these books?" she asked, worried. In summary, in just one night, Kai had used all his accumulated mana to create his first circle. From now on, a new chapter for Kai Keltarian had begun. Meanwhile, Leonhardt returned the books that had been blown away, making Alice scream in agony. Thankfully, none were burned. As for little Ursiel, she was happily preparing breakfast for Kai, as she did every day. However, right as she was about to bring it to him, the blue-haired maid blocked her way. "Hey Ursiel, isn't that food for Master Kai? Let us take it, you go get some rest." Hearing this, Ursiel didn't hurry to hand over the tray, instead asking, "Why do you say that all of a sudden?" Replying, the blue-haired maid shrugged. "Serving Master Kai is Salama's responsibility, right? You're just a temp. Lately, Master Kai's personality has improved a lot. We think things should go back to how they were." That's right, a brown-haired girl next to her agreed. However, Ursiel didn't hesitate to refuse their demand. "I don't want to. If you're unhappy with your work or want to change, talk to Master Kai directly." Saying that, Ursiel walked away without paying them any mind, leaving them furious. Look at her attitude. "Hey, come back here," she screamed. At that same moment, the blue-haired girl stepped inside, making Ursiel's footsteps falter for a beat. But she quickly regained her composure and headed out, while the blue-haired maid continued to bark. "Ursiel, do you think you're special?" Back to Kai, he was happily enjoying the breakfast Ursiel had brought him. Seeing her young master eating happily, she gently asked, "Does the food suit your palate? I tried adjusting the recipe you taught me last time." Hearing the question, Kai turned with a smile. "Yeah, it's delicious, Ursiel. Your cooking skills are getting better every day." "I practice hard every day, and I learned a few new recipes from the head chef," Ursiel explained further. Kai looked at her with admiration. "You're so diligent and eager to learn, Ursiel." Saying this, Kai put his knife and fork down and turned to ask with interest. So how is your progress with spirit magic? Spirit magic, Ursil stammered. First, bring me the introductory book on spirit magic I gave you earlier, Kai requested. Then, as he opened the book to observe it, he asked, how far have you read? About half the book, sir, Ursil answered. Meanwhile, noticing the meticulously written notes inside, Kai thought to himself. Looking at the worn pages, it seems she studied very hard. Since she comes from a noble family with a basic educational background, her learning speed isn't slow. Actually, for her age, she's quite talented. Ideally, we'd build her skills gradually over more time. Thinking this, Kai shook his head, but at this speed, it's not enough. We don't have much time. Ursil, you need to learn more and become even stronger. A feeling of dread welled up within Kai, as the Cultivation family was holding the succession ceremony for the heir in 2 months. And on that day, a coup led by the second son, Adolf, would occur, the Marquis family would fall, and Kai would lose his life for his involvement. Therefore, she had to become stronger before then. Kai thought, then ordered, for now, hand over the cooking duties to someone else and focus entirely on your studies. It will help you concentrate. I'll let Sally serve me again, so don't worry. Yes. Opposite him, Ursil gripped her skirt tightly and shouted, no, I will try to continue both learning spirit magic and cooking. I won't neglect either. Please don't. Please don't have someone else serve you. Please let me continue doing it, please, she said, her eyes beginning to well up with tears. Kai was completely surprised, but he also seemed to realize something. I get it now. Ursil's family fell in the blink of an eye, going from a baron's daughter to a slave and now a maid. She's lost contact with her family, not knowing if they're dead or alive. It's natural for her to feel insecure. She's only just started adapting to life as a maid. She finally has a relatively stable life, and then I suddenly tell her to learn spirit magic. Of course, she'd feel confused. That's why being a maid is her priority over learning spirit magic. She must be thinking that. If she can't perform her duties well, she'll be kicked out of the mansion. This is my fault for not explaining the situation clearly. Understanding everything, Kai spoke to reassure her. Ursil, do you remember what I said when I brought you here? You belong to me now. I'm not someone who abandons their own. I always protect them. And I'm not asking you to learn spirit magic for no reason, Ursil. You're an excellent maid, your cooking is delicious, and you're hardworking and meticulous. If you keep working this hard, you'll definitely be promoted to head housekeeper. But there are many maids in this mansion, which means many people can replace you. But what do you think would happen if you became a spirit mage? Do you know how rare and respected skilled spirit mages are? You'll become a great figure, you'll become the best spirit mage, and everyone will admire you. And everyone will look up to you, you will stand above them all. At that point, no one in this world will be able to replace you. How does that sound? It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Kai smiled, painting a picture, and although what he described was incredibly beautiful, Ursil couldn't help but worry. But can I really do that? She wondered. And Kai affirmed. Of course you can become the best spirit mage, I believe in you, he said, handing her the basic spirit magic book. Hearing this, Ursil reached out and took the book with a happy face. Yes, I will try. Because I trust you, Master Kai. At that moment, a notification appeared. Ursil's affection for Kai has increased by 60. After that, Kai officially appointed Ursil as his personal maid. She began to handle most of his personal affairs, and Kai moved her out of the shared maid quarters and gave her her own room. Tada, from now on, this will be your room, Ursil, Kai said with a smile. This surprise gift made Ursil overjoyed. Naturally, Kai did this to make it easier for her to study and also for Ursil's security. She wouldn't have to worry about conflicts with other maids. Yes, Ursil said happily, I like it a lot. It's so close to Master Kai's room. Was that all she liked about it? Is that what you like most? You're truly addicted. Yes, sir, she replied. Ursil, let's do our best. Let's survive at all costs, Kai thought to himself. In another development, the blue-haired maid was in a room within the mansion to report something. I have something to report. Please listen for a moment. Then she whispered everything she had gathered, leaving the person opposite her surprised. Kai has changed. Yes, Master Adol. Recently, Master Kai has been training and working on his strength, while spending a lot of time learning magic. His personality has also improved a lot. He no longer gets angry or beats the maids. Hearing this, Adolf was even more surprised and then said with interest, all right. So my stupid little brother has finally grown up. As his older brother, perhaps I should pay him a visit. Returning to Kai. While walking with Leonhardt, he suddenly spoke up. Leonhardt, take me to a place that's very spacious. Somewhere out of sight. What are you going to do there? He asked, and Kai replied, I want to try a live magic test, although he wasn't clear about what he wanted to do. The knight led him to a secluded area on the edge of the grounds, isolated, densely forested, and invisible from the outside, he said calmly. Upon arriving, Kai was very satisfied. Perfect, Kai said with a laugh. Then he turned to instruct the blonde-haired man, make sure no one comes near. Yes, sir. Leonhardt began to watch Kai, who was warming up with some speculation. Warming up? Is it magic? Master Kai couldn't master swordsmanship or magic because of Hamel's disease. Reading a few spellbooks in a few days couldn't have suddenly changed that, but with Master Kai as he is now. Thinking this, the young man was about to be wide-eyed with shock, when his protagonist began to gather energy in his palms and formed a ball of lightning. Then he shouted "Magic Dart" and thrust his palm forward, releasing a lightning bolt, aimed straight at the tree trunk opposite him. Upon impact, the lightning bolt created a massive explosion, and the tree trunk vanished in an instant. Seeing that, both of them were left dumbstruck, not expecting it to be that powerful. At this point, Kai looked anxiously at Leonhardt and asked, "About the tree, do you think the noise was heard in the mansion?" "No, I used aura to suppress the explosion immediately. They couldn't have heard it," Leonhardt explained, leaving Kai relieved. "Good reflexes, you scared the life out of me." Back to Leonhardt, he stared at Kai with intense amazement. "But Master Kai, when did you manage to create a circle?" "Not long ago, I just followed what was written in the book I borrowed from the library, and it actually works," Kai replied. "So Master Kai, now you," he asked again, and Kai nodded. "That's right, I've overcome Hamel's disease," Kai said, accumulating magic to form an energy orb in his palm to prove it to the knight. Seeing this, the protagonist's previous declarations echoed in the knight's mind. "As I said before, I don't intend to die young, I will do everything I can. I felt something different about him before, so that's how it is." Thinking this, Leonhardt gave a light smile and was happy for Kai. "I understand, congratulations." At the same time, the system notified him that Leonhardt's affection for Kai had increased by 10 points. "He's a man of real resolve," Kai thought, ignoring that. Leonhardt looked at the destroyed tree trunk and voiced his thoughts, "But Magic Dart is a first circle spell. Typically, it should have the strength of a grown man's punch. I know, it has that kind of strength. But this is not the power of a first circle spell." Kai understood this perfectly well. "You're right, this feels like the power of a fourth circle spell." "Fourth circle? But I'm still just a first circle mage. I just released the power of a fourth circle spell using only a first circle. Kai stroked his chin. "Isn't that amazing?" Leonhardt asked. "Let's see, even I didn't expect such power," Kai exclaimed, leaving Leonhardt to think. Could he be a genius? Back to Kai, instead of joy, he felt some worry. But no matter how you look at it, this kind of power is too attention-grabbing. "Thanks to the third eye, I finished all the first circle spellbooks in the library. Without this skill, it would have taken months to create a single circle. However, while watching, I had a question. Why is the method of using magic decoded by the third eye different from the game? According to the spellbook, to use magic, you first have to draw a complex magic circle, then go through difficult equations and calculations, and finally activate the magic after cycling mana, classic style. However, in the game, using magic is much simpler. Just draw a simple symbol with mana and it activates immediately. This method is easier to use and more powerful. I memorized all the magic symbols over 10 years of playing. So if I use magic in that user-friendly way like in the game, what happens? But this power is too strong, that's the problem. It's not time to show my full power yet, Kai thought, then turned to speak to Leon. "Hey Leonhardt, can you keep what you just saw a secret?" Hearing the request, the knight's eyes flashed with surprise. "Excuse me, even from the family head." "That's right, this is a secret between the two of us, okay?" Kai said playfully. And this attitude instantly dropped Leonhardt's affection toward him by 50 points. "Come on, losing affection points just for that. Is my cute tone really that annoying?" Kai screamed with regret inside and hurriedly explained. "Listen, there's a reason for all of this. I don't want anyone to know how strong I am yet." "Why is that?" he asked suspiciously. And Kai instantly changed his expression. "Because of the succession ceremony in the next 2 months. You know about it, right?" Speaking of the succession ceremony. According to the tradition of the Cultivation Marquis family, the successor is not chosen by age but through competition. Personality, tactics, intellect, knowledge, public support, and the opinions of loyal retainers. They are evaluated based on all of these things. This is meant to choose the most promising heir to lead the family to greater prosperity. Right now, there are 2 people fiercely competing for the heir position. First is the eldest son, Aben Cultivation, and the second son, Adolf Cultivation. Additional info: Aben Cultivation, the eldest son of Marquis Renton Cultivation's official wife, is currently the brightest candidate for the heir position. He has a gentle personality and excellent swordsmanship skills. Since childhood, he has been groomed to become the heir, growing up with high expectations as a role model for the nobility. His supporters are mainly long-standing family servants. On the contrary, Adolf Cultivation is also a son of the official wife, but has always been overshadowed by his older brother Aben, so he went unnoticed for years. However, at some point during his upbringing, Adolf's personality matured and his swordsmanship skills progressed by leaps and bounds, causing him to stand out quickly. Adolf's supporters are mainly young, passionate knights, and he exudes the vibe of a gang leader. Right then, the 2 candidates had an accidental encounter. However, seeing that Aben seemed to ignore him, a flash of anger appeared in Adolf's eyes. "Dear brother, are you going to ignore your younger brother now?" Hearing this voice, Aben also turned back and flashed an extremely friendly smile. "Long time no see, Adolf. You were so deep in thought that you didn't even notice me." Come on, stop joking around. It's hard to believe that you, someone who awakened, or at the age of 5, couldn't sense the presence of others, he teased. Meanwhile, the older brother Aben calmly responded, "That's ancient history, no big deal, just some childhood luck, nothing worth bragging about. It's so embarrassing I could die, stop bringing it up." "No, people will laugh, there's nothing to talk about," Aben smiled wryly. Meanwhile, the people around started whispering and comparing. Young Master Adop awakened his aura at 15, right? My son is the same, I'm so worried. Right, my son is the same, I'm so worried, I thought he was slow and lacking in talent, some old man laughed and said. Hearing that, Aben reassured him, some people start slow, but now that the kid has gotten past that initial difficult step, he'll progress quickly. Across from him, Adop's underling thugs couldn't hold back their anger upon hearing this and shouted, "Old man, what did you say? Do you have a death wish?" However, before these thugs could bark a few times, the blonde guy raised his hand to signal them to shut up. "Enough, we are in the main building, father is here, don't act rashly." He spoke while his eyes turned red as if he had eye strain, making the thugs quickly tuck their tails in. "I'm sorry, my lord," they weakly said. Seeing the people obey his younger brother like that, Aben's gaze turned cold, but very quickly he hid that expression and smiled in praise. "You've trained your subordinates well, you truly deserve to be a candidate for the heir of the Cultivation Marquisate." "Haha, go ahead and laugh, you won't be laughing for long," Adop said through gritted teeth without bothering to hide his hostility. After uttering these meaningless words, he dragged his thugs away. Speaking of Kai, while having a meal, he took the opportunity to talk about the current situation. There are only 2 months left until the succession ceremony. The peerage of the Cultivation family does not follow the rule of primogeniture. Whether legitimate or illegitimate doesn't matter, the sole criterion for the successor is strength. Any direct descendant of the father has the right to participate in the succession struggle. Except for one exception, that is me, due to illness. I was eliminated from the succession race early on. My third older brother Duke is also not participating in this struggle. Although 15 years old isn't an issue, if I were older, my swordsmanship and magic would still lag far behind my older brothers. Across from him, hearing this, Leonhardt grasped the situation. So the current succession race is, that's right, it's a battle between the eldest Aben and the second older brother Adop. There's very little time left until the succession ceremony, and neither of them wants any surprises. But what if everyone knew I had power? What would happen if, in this situation, a good-for-nothing like me who was never considered a threat suddenly appeared as a dark horse? There are definitely going to be 2 reactions. They might try to pull me to their side, or they might find a way to eliminate me while I'm still young. Thinking about it that way is extreme, but history has witnessed plenty of bloodshed over the throne. That's exactly what I mean, Kai exclaimed. Additionally, when Kai said these words, he had already anticipated how events would unfold based on the plot. According to the game's settings, Aben is upright so it will be fine, but Adolf is different. He will definitely find a way to kill me from the start. He has a plan to completely get rid of me. My current position is just having recovered from illness, full of promise but still limited in skills as a young first circle top mage. As a young first circle top mage, this level of ability makes it good if they pull me to their side, and if not, the damage won't be too great. Saying this, Kai gave a playful wink, probably because the young general still hasn't learned his lesson about losing affection points from making that face. Fortunately for him, Leonhardt across from him, after listening and pondering for a moment, nodded in agreement. I see, mages often hide their abilities to protect themselves. I've heard they tend to pretend to lower their level, it makes sense. But after the succession ceremony, I will report this to the family head. Returning to Kai, hearing Leonhardt's reply, he felt a bit awkward but quickly understood the issue. Because of the low rank, is there a limit? Leonhardt currently still loyal to the family head, meaning his father, rather than to him, making it hard to expect him to fully support him. He didn't immediately say no, but the current situation is still better than before, yet I'll make him follow me. Leonhardt, I will definitely win you over, Kai thought as he stared at Leonhardt and broke into an extremely cunning smile, making the knight naturally feel a chill run down his spine. Brushing this aside right as he stepped outside the door, Leonhardt suddenly turned back and asked, Master Kai, are you really serious about becoming a mage? Responding to this question, Kai nodded affirmatively. That's right, the Cultivation family is famous for swordsmanship. Having a good mage in the family is wonderful too, right? I see, that's great, the family head will be very pleased, he said with a smile, while his affection for Kai increased by 30 points. Making this kid really unable to understand how this emotion system works. Affection just skyrocketed, how can that be? Kai startled and shouted inwardly. Meanwhile, Leonhardt nodded, turned to look at Ursil and praised. Ursil, your food is quite good, the steak is really wonderful. It's just a simple meal, thank you for the compliment, Ursil nodded and replied. Speaking of Kai, at this moment he began to speculate inwardly. Does eating together increase affection points? If so, I won't miss this opportunity. Ursil, Leonhardt, from now on eat with me, understand? Kai proposed, making the night somewhat awkward. That's unexpected, I can eat in the knight's dormitory. This is in order, Kai reminded him. Time passed quickly until evening. At this time, Kai was sitting studying some books on magic and drawing strange symbols on paper. Looking at these symbols, he began to mutter to himself, if I activate magic. If I activate magic the way the game instructed, the activation speed will be fast and the power will be very large, but the problem is it's hard to control that power. I don't know why the game's method makes magic stronger, it's so hard to control. Let's hold on to it for now, there will definitely be a time when I need to display magic. However, I cannot rely solely on ordinary magic. The world's method of activating magic is too slow, the downside is that it's hard to master, but it allows for detailed adjustment of power. Thinking of this, a flash of light suddenly went off in Kai's head. Except for, what if I combine the world's magic activation method and only take the advantages of the player's magic activation method from the game? How about that? As soon as the idea appeared, a red warning screen suddenly popped up in front of Kai. Danger, a magic explosion may occur. Do you want to continue? Looking at this suddenly appearing screen, Kai startled and fell backward. What is this? You scared me. Then he focused on the content of the warning screen. Does that mean continue? Does that mean it's not impossible to combine them? Since this is a warning window rather than a status window, there is definitely a risk. High risk comes with high reward. You can't achieve anything without taking risks. No sooner thought than done. Kai clicked the continue button. And right after that, a powerful wave burst forth from his entire body, blowing away all the surrounding paper. Seeing Kai reply with agreement to continue, the system also began analyzing the feasibility of this combination method. Analyzing body, analyzing activation method, very high magic comprehension, analyzing efficient path. Analysis of the combination path complete. The sound had just faded. A surge of new knowledge was loaded into Kai's head, accompanied by his magic circle beginning to transform, turning yellow. I did it, a new kind of magic, the combination activation method, magic missile, Kai said with a smile as he looked at the lightning orb floating on his palm. Awesome. And now that the foundation is solid, should I try combining a bit more magic here? I should reduce it a bit, he muttered while the danger warning of a possible explosion kept sounding repeatedly. And because of his reckless habit of not reading the instruction manual, whatever had to happen naturally happened. The little girl Ursule, carrying chores outside, suddenly heard a loud explosion and hurriedly threw the blankets aside and ran inside. Master Kai, are you all right? Ursule, I'm fine, haha, I'm practicing magic, he said awkwardly, alongside a large hole that had appeared in the wall of his room. You're practicing magic, are you okay? The wall, Ursule said worriedly, making Kai only able to offer an awkward smile. Haha, I should have conducted the experiment outdoors. Brushing this issue aside, Kai began to think more seriously. It really exploded. The warning window seemed to be right. This time I'll have to build a proper magic laboratory with protective fences. Kai planned silently in his heart. At the same time, the knight Leonhardt heard the loud noise and rushed over. Young master, there was a loud noise just now. The wall is that you, Leonhardt? Help me clean up. Clean up first and worry about the rest later. The librarian will definitely freak out over the damaged books, Kai thought to himself. Time passed quickly and a new day began. As usual, Ursule started with preparing breakfast for Kai. However, things didn't go quite as planned today. After tasting a bit of the food, a look of worry appeared on the little girl's face. The taste is a bit strange. Saying this, she began to imagine a scenario where Kai ate this dish and started complaining. Today the food seems a bit bland. The more she thought about it, the more worried Ursule became. What should I do? At that moment, a voice suddenly sounded behind her. Ah, Ursule, I see you preparing a meal for Master Kai. You work hard like this every day. The blue-haired girl's name was Daisy, and she was also one of the two people who used to bully Ursule. So seeing her appear, Ursule didn't give her any pleasant expression. That's my job, the little girl replied coldly, then turned back to focus on her cooking, causing Daisy's face to stiffen. You're really careful, she thought to herself and offered a reminder. If the stew's seasoning is a bit bland, try adding a little nutmeg. It's a spice that makes the dish richer, trust me. Hearing this, Ursule was half believing, half doubtful. However, unable to think of any better method, the little girl decided to follow this advice. And right after tasting it, her eyes lit up. It's delicious, right, Daisy? And because she received help, Ursule's expression softened a bit. Thank you. Daisy, you're so good at cooking, can you teach me a little? Across from her, hearing the proposal, the corners of her mouth involuntarily broke into a smile as if she had achieved her goal. But she quickly pulled back that cunning smile and responded cheerfully. Of course, I'm very happy to help you. Now let me help you carry the food. Today's meal is ready. Thank you, Ursule replied. While bringing the food to Kai's room, Daisy casually brought up a topic and asked, how is Master Kai doing lately? I heard he has become much more polite. Actually, I was quite worried when you became Master Kai's personal maid. I was afraid he would give you a hard time or treat you harshly, she said worriedly. The girl's acting level was truly divine, so Ursule didn't notice anything at all. It's fine, Master Kai treats me very well, Ursul replied, making her breathe a sigh of relief. Really? That's great. I also heard lately Master Kai has become much more mature. He wakes up early to exercise and studies very hard too. Hearing this, a flash of surprise appeared in Ursul's eyes. But then she nodded. That's right, Master Kai is very hardworking. He has also been studying a lot. Then, after bringing the food to Kai, Ursul recounted this conversation to him, leaving him slightly surprised. Daisy asked about me. On this side, Ursul was arranging the food and nodded upon hearing this. Yes, she asked what Master Kai has been doing lately and who he has been meeting. What did you answer? Kai asked curiously. At this moment, a mischievous look appeared in Ursul's eyes. I said I didn't know. I thought it's better not to reveal anything about Master Kai. Did I answer correctly? That's right, you did a great job, Ursul. Well done, well done. Kai praised with a smile and gave the little girl a like. Then he reminded her. But in the future you can answer moderately. Although eating breakfast is necessary, I won't be able to hide the fact that I've overcome the Hamel disease and am secretly learning magic. I will keep that in mind, the little girl nodded and said, back to Kai. At this moment he had also figured out Daisy's intent. I thought the impatient one would act first, but I didn't expect the tale to show so early. Just like my brother, too impatient, it's obvious he's in a rush. Kai shook his head and criticized inwardly. Time passed quickly until evening when the knight Leonhardt came to report the situation of Kai to Renton, making him drop his jaw in shock. What? Kai has overcome Hamel. Across from him, Leonhardt nodded affirmatively. That's right, he is currently teaching himself magic. His power has surpassed the first circle, but I'll explain the details later, he thought to himself, hiding the fact that Kai had already achieved a magic circle. Meanwhile, Marquis Renton, at this moment, was still in a state of severe shock from the recent information. That child has overcome Hamel. I remember the last time I saw him, his condition was terrible. That's why I was so furious with him. Speaking of which, he also remembered his last meeting with Kai. Did I ask to be born with a body like this? You should have killed me the moment I was born, father. Kai said as he looked at Renton with an extremely furious gaze, and these words of his also caused Renton's anger to rise. Foolish. I will pretend I don't have a son like you. Stay in your room and stop causing trouble. With that, he turned around and officially placed Kai under house arrest inside the room. Remembering these images made Renton's expression ponder for a moment, then he asked, how old is he now? He recently turned 13, Renton replied. To overcome Hamel, one needs special talent in magic or swordsmanship, a talent that usually manifests around age 5 or 6. But for someone like Kai, is there any case of overcoming Hamel at an older age? He worriedly said. However, a knight like Leonhardt, how could he possibly know this? So he could only shake his head and say, I'm not sure either, but it's true Master Kai has overcome Hamel. I saw him use first circle magic. Is it a miracle? Renton asked himself and continued. Leonhardt, do you think I should see him? Across from him, the knight listened and instead of answering, asked back, do you want to see him? I'm not sure either, the kid probably still resents me, right? Renton said fretfully, no, on the contrary, he said he has something to tell you. Leonhardt calmly said and remembered the conversation with Kai earlier. If you have anything to say, I'll pass the message along. No need, I need to see him and talk directly, Kai shook his head and said, and Leonhardt frowned to remind him. You are currently under house arrest. Without the Marquis' permission, you cannot leave the villa. I know. That's why I want you to pass the message. Leonhardt, let my father know that I really want to see him, understand? Kai said while looking at Leonhardt with a sharp gaze. But immediately after that, he switched to a cute state. Please. This appearance gave the knight goosebumps. All right, I understand, Leonhardt hurriedly agreed. It seems he no longer resents the Marquis, he thought to himself and spoke up. Master Kai wishes to personally meet Marquis Renton Cultivation. Renton Cultivation, the head of the prestigious swordsmanship family, Marquis Cultivation, who has protected the family from monsters through generations. One of the top 5 swordsmen in the world and also his father. At this moment, Kai was wearing fine clothes, looking at Renton's portrait hanging on the wall while his body involuntarily trembled uncontrollably. Seeing this, the protagonist reached out and gripped his right hand tightly to stop it from shaking. My hand is trembling uncontrollably. This is Kai's body still remembering the fear and resentment toward his father. Then, as usual, fragments of memories began to flood into Kai's mind. Kai, can't you even lift a sword? And you're the son of the renowned sword-wielding house of Cultivation. He barked while Kai remained trembling on the ground. Father, I can't do it, it's too hard, he replied weakly. And this only made Renton feel even more furious. Being the son of the Marquis Cultivation and this weak, you are of no value to this family. Opposite him, when Kai heard that, his face became filled with despair. Father, am I really a useless child? I can't use a sword and I'm dying of illness. Please don't abandon me. he cried out. The vision ended there, and after watching it, Kai could only sigh to himself. That was quite a heavy blow. The memory I just saw belonged to Kai, the original owner of this body. But now they are my memories too. Because Li Haiyan's and Kai's souls merged through the transmigration, the pressure Kai once felt has been completely passed on to me. But Kai is no longer the coward he used to be. Now I am both Kai and Li Haiyan. As an adult, Kai Keltarian, I will prove your worth, the protagonist said, clenching his right hand in determination. After that, without a hint of hesitation, he went to see Renton. Renton paused his work and asked, "So do you have something to say to me?" "Yes, Marquis," Kai replied calmly. And this answer gave Renton pause, calling me Marquis instead of father. I wonder what the boy is up to. Thinking this, he began tapping his fingers on the table and continued, "I clearly told you not to leave your room without my permission, even though I recently allowed you to use the library to study. But if you cause any more trouble, next time it won't just stop at house arrest." "Do you understand what that means?" Renton said in a tone filled with coldness, as if trying to pressure Kai. And this didn't surprise the protagonist much. Not a shred of trust in the body is trembling. Well, it's unavoidable since the previous owner caused so much trouble. Furthermore, he was facing a swordmaster, one of the 5 strongest people in the world. Thinking this, Kai began using his third eye skill to observe Renton's information, but the return wasn't very helpful. Name, Renton Keltarian. Age, 48. Other info, unknown. High-level opponent, details cannot be confirmed. Although Kai felt a bit disappointed, he wasn't overly surprised. I wanted to gauge his affection with third eye, but it's too difficult right now. There's no other way. The only option here is to negotiate. Thinking this, Kai calmly stated his purpose. "I understand, that is why I formally requested a meeting through Leonhardt." Before, he would have argued back, but now, Renton was surprised internally and nodded. "I have caused much trouble and annoyance for you, Marquis, because of my childish actions. I was wrong, I truly regret it, and I will change starting now," Kai said while bowing his head. And this action shocked Renton to the point that he stood up involuntarily. Is this child really apologizing? The child who used to blame others and be irritable every day. Renton pondered while Kai, unaware of his thoughts, continued. "And there is one more thing. I want to propose a deal with you." "A deal?" Renton asked. "Yes, surely you have heard from Leonhardt that I have overcome Hamel." "That's right, I heard. It is hard to believe such a thing could actually happen," he exclaimed. And at this moment, Kai demonstrated it for him immediately. "It is true, Marquis. I am now a first circle mage." As he spoke, he channeled his internal mana to create a multicolored flame. On his end, even though he had heard it from Leonhardt earlier, after seeing it with his own eyes, Renton could not hide his surprise. "Even though I heard Leonhardt say it, I was still skeptical, but it's true. One can feel the mana flow from you," he nodded. Meanwhile, Kai reaffirmed his stance and started pitching. "Yes, I will grow even more. Mages who overcome Hamel are known for having extraordinary potential. Perhaps that's why I reached the first circle in just a few days through self-study. The value of a great mage is said to be equivalent to an entire army of knights, Marquis. The Keltarians are famous for swordsmanship, but having an excellent mage among your direct descendants, wouldn't it be great if the family supported me? As I develop as a mage, I will dedicate my abilities to the family, and I will become a great asset to the family. And the House of Keltarian, with both swordsmanship and magic, will stand above all other families in this nation. What do you think? This is a mutually beneficial deal for both the family and me, so please invest in me, a true talent with capability." Kai began to paint a picture of the future, all while thinking to himself, in life everything is an exchange. The fastest way to gain affection is to prove what you can offer. Renton Keltarian values the interests and honor of the family above all else. Simply relying on familial affection won't convince him, so sometimes you have to make ruthless decisions for the sake of the family. Kai had once tried to grab his father's attention by causing trouble thinking his father would care, but those ways didn't work on Renton and even backfired. However, if interests align, people can get closer even in a bad relationship, and now this is how an adult solves things. Kai thought confidently to himself, and just as Kai predicted, on the other side, hearing his son say such things, Marquis Renton's face went stiff. Is this child really the Kai I once knew? He is no longer the child from before. He is accurately aware of what the other party needs, and is attempting to negotiate to get what he wants. Learning to use power is an essential trait for noble children. Thinking back to the child who used to throw tantrums, now saying things like this. The child he thought was a failure and neglected has grown up. All right, I will recognize you as a valuable asset to the House of Keltarian. Thinking this, he agreed. I will provide all the capital and magic stones necessary for your studies. Show me your worth. Opposite him, Kai heard this and a smile bloomed on his face as he affirmed, yes, I will not let you down, father. Just like that, time passed quickly over the next few days. Because he had the family's backing, Kai proudly showed off his achievements to Ursiel and Leonhardt. What do you think? What do you think? This is my new magic workshop. By now, Kai was the owner of a luxurious room filled with magic books and various bottles. And not only that, he pointed to several objects and introduced them. I've reinforced the interior with magic barriers and equipped it with tools for making potions. There won't be any more holes in the walls now, Kai said with a smile, and Leonhardt, who was both impressed and curious. That's truly amazing. It must have cost a fortune. Where did you get it? It seems your allowance wasn't enough to cover this. It's all my father's money. I just had to show a little bit of cuteness and he was ready to provide, Kai said with a laugh. Meanwhile, Leonhardt's face darkened upon hearing this. Does that cuteness actually work on the Marquis? He wondered internally. Ignoring him, Kai opened a door inside the room and said, Ursil, come here. Hearing this, Ursil asked, is there something you need me to do? No, it's not like that. It's hard to use spirit magic in this room. So I prepared a separate space just for you. Saying that, he looked around the room and began to introduce it. It's soundproof and dustproof, so you can practice spirit magic without worrying. I've also collected relevant books and spirit stones, so please use them freely. Hearing this, Ursil's face became confused and anxious. Master Kai, am I really allowed to use this place? It's right next to your workspace. Of course, feel free, as I said before. I want Ursil to become my reliable assistant. Not just a servant, but to develop into an irreplaceable spirit mage. Turning to her, she was so moved that she shed tears. Master Kai, I will try my best. I will study hard and become useful to you, she said, deeply touched. At the same time, her affection points for Kai increased by 70. There, that's enough, Kai said to soothe her. And right at that moment, the magic circle nearby, along with several magic stones on the shelf, suddenly began to glow. Catching both of their attention, why is the spirit magic circle reacting so suddenly? Ursil, did you just use spirit magic? Kai shouted. As for the head maid, she had no idea what was going on. No, I didn't do anything. Hearing this, Kai's eyes widened in confusion. But this light, he muttered. Then suddenly, countless mana orbs gathered before their eyes, forming a cloud-like mass of energy. Then, the energy suddenly dissipated, revealing a cat-like creature with wings on its back. Is this a spirit? Kai thought to himself. Then the little creature immediately pounced on Ursil. Making Kai more confident in his theory, it latched onto Ursil immediately. It seems Ursil has already summoned a spirit. Indeed, those with innate spirit talent are different, Kai thought, then praised her. Great job, Ursil. You've already managed to summon a spirit, but I didn't do anything, Ursil said, bewildered. Knowing she lacked the knowledge, Kai proceeded to enlighten her. Spirit magic is different from regular magic in terms of chanting or incantations, as it involves feeling the natural spirit energy with one's soul. When your emotions surged, the spirit stones in this workshop reacted and summoned the spirit. Saying this, he pointed to the shelf that was empty just moments ago. Look, all the spirit stones that were full just now have disappeared. Seeing this, Ursil's face became a bit frightened. Oh, is that okay? Did I use them all up? What should I do? Don't worry, that's what they were meant for, Kai reassured her, then began to think. I didn't expect spirit summoning to happen so quickly, but what kind of spirit is this anyway? At that moment, as if hearing Kai's question, the system began to provide some notifications, explaining that is a high-level creature, cannot be identified by the third eye. Kai was even more surprised. It's a small spirit, but it's high level, so the third eye isn't effective? Thinking this, Kai tried asking Ursil, Ursil, do you know what kind of spirit this is? Ah, yes, let me ask, Ursil replied. Then she whispered with the little creature. After a brief exchange, she stroked the little creature and turned to tell Kai, Osiris, an ancient light spirit. Hearing her say that, Kai began to shout. What? This tiny, chubby spirit is an ancient light spirit. Ancient spirits are so rare that even high-level spirit mages can only summon one after exhausting all their spirit stones and praying for 3 days and nights. Yet she summoned it on the first try and unconsciously at that. But it seems too ordinary for an ancient spirit, Kai wondered. And this skeptical attitude angered the little yellow creature, so it immediately lunged at Kai's head to bite. Meanwhile, Ursil hurried to explain, it's not in its true form, but if it returned to its true form, the mansion would collapse. Ah, I see, Kai nodded. Then Ursil removed the little creature from Kai's head, while saying, You can't do that, Master Kai. This little one says it wants to be my friend. What should we do? But Kai was losing his mind and turned to explain, it's offering to form a contract. Since the spirit was summoned unconsciously by Ursil, it must be very compatible with her. Really, is that okay? Ursil asked. And the little creature chirped as if in agreement. Then, beneath the feet of both of them, beneath their feet, a magic circle suddenly flared to life, and Ursil said, Ursil Helen will form the most sincere contract with Osiris, this ancient light spirit. This ancient light spirit, at that same moment, a voice rang out, to complete the contract, give the spirit a name. Kai suggested, all right, Fluffy. Kai suggested, all right, Fluffy, that name. That name left the light spirit speechless, asking, please choose a name. All right, your name will be Fluffy, Ursil said with a smile. And because the contract partner had spoken, even if it didn't want to, the name was confirmed. Fluffy confirmed, registration complete. From today you are Fluffy, I'm very happy to work with you. And thank you for becoming my companion, Ursil said with a bright smile. Meanwhile, Kai, witnessing this, felt happy as well. The talent discovery project is progressing well. In time passed. A few days later, perhaps having heard the news, Adolf came to meet Kai. I apologize for not paying much attention to you, Kai, as your older brother. Opposite him, Kai, as his younger brother, hearing that, wore a fake smile. No, that's perfectly fine. If anyone should be looking for you, it would be me, brother, Ursil. Beside him, Ursil poured Adolf a cup of tea and asked, is there anything else you need? Before he could ask, Kai answered for him, you've worked hard, Ursil, go get some rest. Yes, sir, she nodded and left quickly. Yes, sir, she nodded and left quickly. Opposite him, Adolf watched Ursil's back, then turned to tell Kai. Is that child the one you bought from the slave market? She's quite pretty. As it happens, I need a new servant. It just so happens that I need a new servant. Why not give her to me? Back to Kai. He was drinking his tea, and hearing this, he paused for a moment and cursed him internally. Cursing him internally, what a scumbag. He came here because he heard my illness was cured, and the first thing out of his mouth is this. To flip this situation easily without raising suspicion, I must act, Kai complained. I must act, Kai complained, then switched on his Hollywood-level acting skills. Oh, brother Adolf, couldn't it be someone else? Oh, brother Adolf, couldn't it be someone else? She is, Kai stammered, acting very genuine. Opposite him, Adolf, witnessing this embarrassed posture, believed it completely. And then he burst into laughter, just joking. I'm not scum enough to rob you of someone you cherish, I was just teasing you. Oh, brother Adolf, really, don't joke like that, you startled me. Kai feigned frustration. All right, Adolf said, waving his hand. Then the villain turned to observe Kai closely, secretly thinking, perhaps I should temporarily abandon that idea. Well, now is not the time to confront him. Besides, I heard the prodigal son has turned over a new leaf. Seeing him care for a young girl like this, he's already gone soft. It's better this way, it will be easier to lure him into the darkness. Thinking this, he began playing the good brother. If I had known you were such an interesting younger brother, I would have connected with you sooner. It seems your body has recovered quite a bit. Hearing this, Kai nodded. Yes, my life is no longer a problem. The illness isn't fully cured, but it's getting better. Not fully cured? Adolf frowned and asked. Oh yes, the illness has lasted a long time, so it's hard to cure immediately, but it is gradually improving. At this point, Kai had an idea and began to show off a bit of his ability. Hey, look at this, brother Adolf, this is magic I created. It's about 1.5 times stronger than regular magic, what do you think? He said, creating a dark red fireball in his palm. Faced with this skill, Adolf pondered for a moment and nodded in praise. You can create impressive magic too. Thank you, brother, Kai responded with a smile. Although not fully recovered and still developing at the first circle apprentice level, this would not affect the succession. This will not affect the succession. Master Kai's attitude has changed significantly, as if he were a different person, and his magic skills are growing. It feels like there's something shady. Daisy's report must have been exaggerated. Being cautious is wiser, but he's still just a 13-year-old child, not worth worrying about. It's best to use him when he becomes useless. I can just discard him. Adolf silently planned and said, Kai, let me ask you straight. Are you thinking about joining my faction? Hearing the question, Kai began to act fake. What? You mean join your faction, brother Adolf? Forget it. Hook, line, and sinker. You mean join your faction, brother Adolf? Forget it. Hook, line, and sinker. Kai laughed internally. Yes, time passed quickly and it's unclear what they discussed. However, after leaving, Adolf looked quite pleased. Then I'll ask father for permission. Yes, thank you for trusting me with this task, Kai responded with a smile. Then, because there was nothing left to discuss, the villain left quickly. At the same time, Leonhardt, who was guarding outside, saw him leave and politely bowed. Safe travels, Master Adolf. Turning to Adolf, seeing Leonhardt, he frowned. Leonhardt, he's a tough nut to crack. Even though I tried to recruit him, he didn't switch sides. Well, still better than him being on a Ben's side. Better he rots in the hands of a brat anyway. Thinking this, he approached Leonhardt and whispered. You look pathetic, Leonhardt. Think about it, a knight protecting a brat. After finishing his teasing. After his taunts, he turned and left immediately. Meanwhile, Kai's voice called out from within. Leonhardt, come in, I've finished talking. Brother Adolf told me to join the subjugation team. Perhaps I'll accompany Viscount Rome, one of his right-hand men from the 5th Legion. This mission will be the first test of my loyalty to him, and it's also an opportunity to be recognized by the family. Opposite him, the knight heard this and his face turned confused, but quickly said, if you join the subjugation team, I'm joining too. No, don't, Leonhardt, don't follow me if you stay near. Follow me? If you stay near, brother Adolf will be vigilant. I need to earn his trust. I can't bring father's men with me, Kai explained calmly. But this didn't make Leonhardt any less worried. But it's dangerous, it could be a trap, he said anxiously. and Kai admitted. He said anxiously, and Kai admitted, "That's true, but Brother Adolf won't easily trust me. He might be trying to see how useful I am in actual combat." How useful I am in actual combat? There's a high chance he will intentionally put me in dangerous situations, but at least now I can protect myself, so you don't need to worry. Besides, I won't show my full ability there. But at this point, Kai paused and turned to ask, "By the way, Leonhardt, do you know about the Iorus function of the Heavenly Sword?" Time passed quickly, shifting to the south of the Justin territory, where there was a forest with a pack of monsters, and the Marquis frequently sent subjugation teams to clear them out. And at this time, our protagonist, Kai, was also there to join the team, as he stood wondering what to do. A richly dressed man rode his horse toward him and introduced himself. "Greetings, Master Kai. I am Viscount Jerome. Master Adolf has told me much about you." "You will be fighting alongside me in this subjugation team." Hearing that, Kai smiled and responded, "All right, Viscount Jerome, this is my first time participating in actual combat. Please guide me." "Certainly, don't worry, Master. I will protect you." He grinned until his eyes disappeared. Anyone looking would think he was a kind person. Unfortunately, all his words were exposed before Kai's eyes, as he could clearly see that his affection for him was at -40 points. Seeing this, Kai looked down on him internally. "-40 affection, and you dare to say you'll protect me? How ridiculous. Have I offended you in any way? I'll avoid him for now," Kai thought to himself. Then he didn't want to talk to this fake person anymore. "I'm going to prepare." Yes, if you need anything, just let me know," Jerome replied with a servile attitude. And after seeing Kai leave, his expression did a 180-degree turn, and he began to recall his master's instructions. Since he's a first circle mate, he doesn't know much, just monitor how good he is, just don't let him die, Master Adolf. Even on a subjugation mission, you've given me such a difficult task. What can a sickly brat with a terminal illness do anyway? And don't let him die, it's lucky if he doesn't hinder the battle. Oh, this is so difficult, he complained to himself. Time passed quickly, and at this point, the monster subjugation raid had officially begun, and Kai had the opportunity to show his skills to the amateurs who hadn't seen them yet. At that moment, he shouted, "Lightning!" and a bolt of lightning flew from his staff, aimed at the goblins in front, leaving them dying in agony. Meanwhile, the newbies in the back clapped as if seeing an airplane take off for the first time. Wow, a single bolt of lightning wiped out the whole group of goblins. "Master Kai, you're amazing, so impressive," someone shouted upon seeing Kai use magic to make the goblins slip. Next, he used fire magic to attack these green-skinned creatures, roasting them in a single blow. "Master Kai, you're fantastic." "This is the easiest cleanup ever," Jerome said, his eyes shining like car headlights, making Kai's nose lengthen noticeably at the compliments. At the same time, his affection toward Kai reached 50. Making Kai dizzy, "I've never met such an easy target." My affection went up by a whopping 90 points. In the back, Viscount Jerome was still excitedly saying, "Master Adolf will be so thrilled to hear about Master Kai's achievements." He spoke happily, unaware that everything was going according to Kai's script. "Now time to start the next plan," he muttered. Time passed quickly until evening. With the help of Kai's magic, the eradication team could sit back and easily handle them. To celebrate this, they organized a light party tonight. "Cheers to victory, long live Master Kai," they chorused, making the young general a bit shy. "Come on. Making the young general a bit shy? Come on, I didn't do anything to deserve such praise." Beside him, Jerome quickly corrected, "No, that's not true at all. Master Kai's magic skills are truly impressive." Opposite them, the others in the eradication team nodded in agreement. "Yes, exactly. All those rumors about young Master Kai were completely wrong. You're still so young, and haven't you always been locked in the mansion? So I thought you'd struggle with fighting this time, but you not only bravely joined the battle, but also didn't complain about the food at all. You've really matured." They praised him, making Kai crank his acting up to full throttle. "Didn't Brother Adolf live like this every time he goes out to hunt monsters? Thinking about that, I can't just remain a spoiled kid forever, right?" Kai said with an emotional voice, making the eyes of the people around him well up. "Master Kai, I didn't know you admired Master Adolf so deeply." "Don't worry, Master Kai. I will definitely tell Master Adolf how much you admire him and how brilliantly you performed in this battle." "Me too, I'll help too," they chimed in eagerly, making Kai feel like this scam was a bit too effortless. Time passed quickly until late night, by which time everyone was dead asleep like logs. And this was also the time for Kai to begin his secret plan. "I'm going out for a short walk," he told the on-duty soldier. And the soldier nodded in agreement. "Yes, but please don't go too far." Seeing him agree so easily, Kai chuckled inwardly. "They suspect nothing, simply because I'm a child." The knights, exhilarated by today's victory, had collapsed from exhaustion. Leaving only a few guards, there was no need to be too wary of goblins. "But what about ogres? Hee, I used them to farm exp in the game." "Let's see." Saying that, he pulled a small jar out of his pocket. "This is ogre incense. Its effect is to summon ogres within a 10 km radius, created by Cultivation." When Kai mentioned this item to Leonhardt earlier, it had completely astonished him. Ogre incense? What is that? I've never heard of such a thing in my life. I see, then I guess I'm the first person to create it, Kai thought in surprise as the world still didn't know the recipe for ogre incense. Next, so Leonhardt could understand, Kai explained, ogre incense literally summons ogres within a certain radius. The higher the quality, the larger the radius. Definitely higher quality means a larger radius since I made it. Naturally its quality won't be bad. Across from him, Leonhardt shared his thoughts. The eradication team's target is a pack of goblins. Ogres are high-level monsters, so it'll be tough. That's right, exactly what I'm aiming for. 12 expert knights are participating in this eradication team. Goblins can be handled, but ogres are a different story. If you look at the regular soldiers from the 5th Legion, though called a knight order, they're just a motley crew. They're very loyal to Adolf, but their personal skills are only average. These are street criminals gathered into a legion, brainwashed by Adolf using dark power. The brainwashing turned them into fanatics, resulting in Adolf not only easily expanding his influence, but also proving his leadership even with the most desperate individuals. Right now, these people are under control. If Adolf makes a move during the succession ceremony, a tragedy will happen. Even street punks turn out like that. High-ranking brainwashed knights are going to be a huge headache. Kai thought to himself and began statting his goal. I plan to weaken the 5th Legion as much as possible before the succession ceremony. I'll start with those 12 high-ranking knights. They will fight bravely against the ogres to the death. And I'll survive that battle and return with the achievement of defeating an ogre. Returning to reality, without a moment of hesitation, Kai opened the jar to let its fragrance spread all around. And very quickly, a giant two-headed ogre tracked the scent and rushed to the area. Next, the more it inhaled the fragrance. The more it acted like it was going berserk, smashing things wildly around the camp, making the soldiers flee like ducks with no one daring to fight back. After all, they were just a bunch of scum. However, among these people, one brave guy stepped forward and shouted to everyone, "No, don't retreat, it's just an ordinary ogre." The words had just left his mouth. It's just an ordinary ogre. The words had just left his mouth when his entire body was smashed into a bloody pulp by the ogre's giant arm, startling everyone. A high-ranking knight's arm. He couldn't keep up and bit the dust. How can we, intermediates, possibly do anything? Despairing voices began to rise. And right at the moment they panicked the most, our protagonist, Kai, stepped up and set things straight. Pull yourselves together. Is this how respectable Cultarian knights should behave? Cultarian respectables, if we retreat, the ogres will flood into the territory. We must stop them here at all costs. Hearing these words, the surrounding knights stirred with a bit of fighting spirit. I'll follow you, someone's voice rang out. At this exact moment, Jerome, who had been sleeping in some corner, rode up on horseback and breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing Kai still intact. Master Kai, you're safe. Thank goodness, leave this to me. Knight Leonhardt ordered me to ensure Master Kai's safety while I hold them off. Find a place to hide. Meanwhile, hearing this, Kai shouted, "No, I won't run away. I'll stay and fight with you to the end. I could never face Master Adolf if I abandoned my soldiers and ran away," Kai said as he turned to look at Jerome. And with his peak acting skills, Viscount Jerome bought it hook, line, and sinker. Next, to give these noobs more fighting spirit, Kai cast a buffing spell on Jerome's body, affecting Jerome's body and making him instantly feel the difference. I feel lighter, he thought to himself. After finishing, Kai continued, "Since I'm still at the first circle, I'll support and control from behind. Viscount Jerome, you should take the lead." "Yes, leave it to me," Jerome nodded and said. And with just a few words from Kai, this guy became fired up without a shred of fear. The way he bravely faces battle without retreating, Master Kai is truly an indispensable asset to Master Adolf. I must tell Master Adolf so he trusts Master Kai. Thinking of this, he dismounted and radiated an immensely powerful aura, cracking the ground into multiple pieces. "Come on, two-headed ogre," he roared and charged forward with his glowing sword. In the back, the soldiers felt reinvigorated. Lord Jerome, both Viscount Jerome and the young master aren't retreating. "We can't be weak, let's go, follow Viscount Jerome," they yelled and charged into battle. "Everyone fight your hardest," Kai said with worry, but inside he was laughing like crazy. "I summoned the ogres, the ogre incense worked. Spawn 2 or 3 more dangerous variants, keep fighting 5th Legion." Merged into sentence 812. "This is where you'll be buried," Kai chuckled as he calmly observed the battle ahead. Returning to the battle, the berserk ogre hacked and slashed wildly, sending the newly charged knights flying before they could even do anything. Seeing this, Jerome's eyes turned bloodshot with anger. "I'm your opponent, you monster," he roared. Then he swung his sword directly down at the giant monster's head. However, its skull was apparently too hard, so the attack didn't deal much damage. And while the group was aggressively attacking, a knight noticed the surrounding situation. With a dark face, he said, "Lord Jerome, another high-ranking knight has fallen. There aren't many of us left. Can we even make it out of here? This monster is too strong," he trembled and said. Meanwhile, seeing this, Kai smiled smugly. Well, of course it has to be strong, otherwise what's the point? I'll wipe out every single Dark Knight right here. That's the job of that terrifying giant monster. Back to Viscount Jerome, he was pushed back by the ogre. We had 12 high-ranking knights, but now including myself, there are only 3 left. Can we actually win this? Is it time to use the final method? He thought with difficulty and began recalling Adolf's previous instructions. Viscount Jerome, you have acquired the power of darkness. You must be able to feel it flowing inside you. But remember, if you release that power completely, you won't be able to return to your original form. At that time, you will become a mindless berserk monster. That's why you must not casually release this power. Even though he remembered Adolf's warning, the urgent situation forced him to consider releasing the power. If I do this, I can defeat the two-headed ogre, but I won't be able to stop my madness. But isn't that still better than dying? He thought silently to himself, an evil aura beginning to exude from his body. But just before he could fully release the power, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from above straight onto the two-headed ogre, freezing its movements in place. And the one who made the move was none other than Kai. I'll grant you protective magic, Viscount Jerome fights, Kai shouted, making Jerome's eyes flash with joy. That's right, we have the mage Kai. It's still too early to use that final resort. He thought happily, then Kai cast a spell called Mental Cleansing, affecting everyone and making them instantly feel the power surging within their bodies. I feel an energy surging, my mind is so clear. Everyone gasped in amazement. Of course, we are the 5th Legion under Master Adolf's command. Let's show them our true strength. Everyone shouted in unison, then like they had been injected with adrenaline, the mob fiercely charged to attack the ogre. Even though their attacks were like mosquito bites on stainless steel, likely due to Kai's skill just now, it only boosted their morale without feeling any fear, while the actual strength remained completely unchanged. Thus, the ants rushed in and were easily swatted away by the giant monster. As a result, before long, the remaining 2 high-ranking knights also bit the dust, leaving Jerome as the sole surviving high-ranking knight. At this point, Kai had nearly completed his priority mission of eliminating the 12 knights empowered by Adolf, with 11 fallen, leaving only Viscount Jerome. Jerome glanced around and found himself entirely isolated, scaring the living daylights out of him. Your sacrifice won't be in vain, he muttered, shouting loudly to Kai in the back. Master Kai, please cast one more spell. I'll finish off that mutant ogre once and for all. Hearing him say that, Kai was more than happy to help. It's time, bring it on. Saying that, he raised his hand toward the sky and cast a binding spell, creating countless invisible hands to restrain Jerome's body, making his face drain of color. What's happening? I can't move. He gritted his teeth and struggled desperately against the restraint. However, before he could break free, the giant monster in front thundered forward. Look ahead, the ogre is here. Kai smiled and said. And then whatever had to happen happened, with Jerome unable to move. The ogre simply slammed its hand down on the ground and easily flattened him into a meat patty. And his death seemed to act as a switch triggering despair. Even Viscount Jerome is dead. What do we do now? We're all going to die. Are we all going to end up like Viscount Jerome? Someone screamed. At the moment they felt the most depressed, a pillar of fire suddenly descended from midair straight onto the ogre's body, causing it to scream agonizingly. Just like that, the monster that had given them such a hard time collapsed from a single attack. Done, Kai cheerfully said as he stepped on its corpse to declare his victory. From inside the monster's body, he found a yellow crystal core, making him slightly joyful. A high-grade core hit the jackpot. Time to end this play, Kai chuckled inwardly. Then shifting to acting mode, the mutant ogre is dead. Thanks to the opportunity provided by Viscount Jerome, I managed to take it down. This victory belongs to the 12 brave high-ranking knights and to everyone who fought risking their lives. This is our collective victory, we won, Kai said with an emotion-packed tone. And naturally, the surrounding crowd started cheering for him like a god. Oh, we won, Master Kai. The result of this expedition was a success. We destroyed the ogre, two-headed mutant, and wiped out the goblin lair. However, there were also heavy losses. At this time, the punitive force had returned to the Cultivation family territory, and the villain Adolf received the news in advance. As soon as the group returned, he anxiously asked, Kai, is it true that Viscount Jerome is dead? Hearing the question, Kai put on a sad face and said, yes, Viscount Jerome fell in the fierce battle against the mutant ogre. If he hadn't fought so fiercely, I probably would have. At this point, Kai's voice choked up, unable to finish. While Adolf still couldn't believe the truth, he reached out and yanked the cloth covering Jerome's corpse. And seeing it with his own eyes, he finally believed this was the real Jerome. He bit the dust. However, looking at his body, he felt a bit puzzled. He didn't even get to use his dark power. Losing Viscount Jerome right now is a huge shock. Not to mention the high-ranking knights were completely wiped out. No choice, we have to pull that guy into our faction, Adolf thought to himself. Quickly adjusting his emotions, he turned to Kai and said, I'm relieved you returned safely. Eliminating the mutant ogre is your achievement. I will report this to Father and ensure you receive the proper honor. Saying that, he reached out to pat Kai's head in praise, making him beam with joy. Yes, thank you, Brother Adolf. Having done that, he put on a grim debt collector expression and walked back into the castle. While Kai watched his demeanor and smiled cunningly, for now, it seems Adolf has been fooled. Truly killing 3 birds with 1 stone, defeating the 5th Legion, gaining Adolf's recognition, and obtaining a mutant ogre core. Kai smiled before asking himself, could this be hitting 3 birds with 1 stone? Beside him, the knight Leon felt compelled to speak. That was close, but thankfully you returned safely before a mutant ogre appeared. Hearing him say that, Kai confidently replied, it's nothing, I could have defeated it myself. I just pretended to be weak. I wanted to show them I have potential yet remain harmless. Across from him, the knight understood to some extent, though he still had a curious question. So do you plan to join Adolf's faction? What about Aben? Hearing this, Kai released Frappy, making the little guy cry and fly toward Ursiel, and confidently said, he'll come looking for me soon. Time passed quickly. A few days later, in the meeting room of the Cultivation family, a meeting was held regarding the recent monster eradication. Once everyone was gathered, Renton began the story. Today we will review the results of the expedition and decide on the distribution of spoils. We will also discuss Kai's contribution, as he played a key role in eliminating the mutant ogre. If anyone has objections, please speak up. The words had just been spoken, and the people in the meeting looked at each other in blank bewilderment because Kai's reputation was so garbage. Yet Renton was mentioning his contribution. Kai's contribution, that guy, they murmured. Father said right, this might be the way to persuade him, Adolf thought. After some whispering, someone in the meeting spoke up, Marquis, saying Master Kai played a key role in the expedition. Isn't that a bit of a stretch? This chubby friend is Baron Hemington. In front, upon hearing that, Renton asked back, Baron Hemington, what do you mean? Renton's tone was somewhat displeased, making Hemington hastily correct himself. Oh no, of course the Marquis deeply cherishes his youngest son and wants to praise him. But Master Kai is still just a first circle mage, merely an apprentice who just started learning magic. Considering the trouble and problems Master Kai has caused, isn't it a bit much to praise his achievements just because he joined the expedition and came back safe? It's hard to believe he matured overnight. Everyone knows how much trouble Master Kai has caused. Saying that, he began to look at the others in the meeting as if signaling them. The others, seeing someone take the lead, chimed in. That makes some sense, Master Kai, really. I'm worried about what trouble he might cause. Then, voices began to rise, leaving Kai unable to argue back even if he wanted to. He doesn't hesitate to say it to my face. It's all because of Kai's bad reputation that nobody trusts him. What could he say? Sitting quietly and taking the hit wasn't Kai's style. So he had to speak up in rebuttal. Baron Hemington, you should experience facing a mutant ogre yourself before passing any judgment. Easier said than done, you'll understand for yourself, right? Beside him, Adolf was somewhat surprised that Kai could say such things, while the chubby Hemington became flustered and speechless. Next, the eldest brother Aben spoke up to help his younger brother, Baron Hemington. Even high-ranking knights struggled against an ogre. Fighting a mutant ogre is twice as hard as a regular ogre. And returning safely is practically a miracle. That's because the knights risked their lives to protect Master Kai. All 12 high-ranking knights except him sacrificed themselves, he shouted. Ben prepared his arguments to respond, but the decisive blow that brought down the mutant ogre was Kai's magic, which has been confirmed by the testimony of the surviving knights. Although Kai made mistakes in the past, he performed brilliantly in this expedition. Now he is focusing seriously on studying magic. Baron Hemington, you should set aside your prejudice and acknowledge Kai's achievement. But Hemington stammered as if wanting to explain further. However, right at that moment, Adolf slammed the table and shouted, that's enough, Baron Hemington. Do you think you have the right to criticize Kai? Criticize the heir of the Marquis family just for past mistakes? Are you overstepping your bounds? Adolf said through gritted teeth, making the fat man cower instantly. No, I wouldn't dare, he panicked and said. Meanwhile, Kai was completely floored, not just Ben, even Adolf. What on earth is going on? Everyone seems to be praising me. He is the pillar of our family. He studies diligently. Turning back to Adolf after dropping his fierce facade, he turned to Renton. Father, I agree that Kai's achievements should be properly recognized. The 5th Legion that I command. They have verified that Kai fought bravely. Hearing his son say that, Renton nodded in response. If both Aben and Adolf said as much, there were no further objections to acknowledging Kai's achievements. Then, starting today, Kai Kaltarian's house arrest will be officially lifted. He will be free to enter and leave the mansion and is permitted to go out. However, the spoils from the mutated ogre will be divided based on contribution and Kai will receive no share. This meeting is adjourned, dismissed, he said coldly. Meanwhile, the information that he wouldn't get a single piece of the pie from the ogre's carcass made Kai's eyes pop out of his head. Huh, what? Even though they recognized my achievement, why don't I get any loot? I wanted it all. Kai screamed internally and hurriedly spoke up. Wait, father. Won't I receive anything? I worked so hard, he said, his eyes beginning to glisten. Hearing this question, Renton quietly stepped closer to Kai and whispered in his ear, what more do you lack? You still have the ogre's core. so father knew all along. He really is a swordmaster, Kai thought in admiration, hurriedly correcting himself. Yes, I don't lack anything, just being free is enough. I will do a good job, I promise you. Waiting for Renton to leave, Adolf called out, Kai, look here. I kept my promise to report your achievements to father. Merged with 912. Remember that I always care about you. Yes, of course, I know, Kai said with a smile, but internally he was furious. This guy always tries to act so talented. At the same time, his eldest brother Aben was also paying attention to him. Kai, it seems like the youngest has changed a bit. It's time for us to have a talk. Just like that, Aben came to see Kai for a private conversation. I have a rather minor skill. You're the first person to hear about it, even father doesn't know. Opposite him, Kai smiled back, really, appearing out of nowhere to talk about a secret. The pressure was quite intense. I had been waiting for Aben to come find me shortly after the meeting ended. Aben had called Kai over. Kai, you did very well. You won in an actual battle, so now you're a respectable mage. You are the pride of our family. Hearing his brother praise him like that, Kai smiled. No, I still have a long way to go. I'm only at the first circle. I just got lucky. Really? Then do you have some time before dinner? I want to hear the details. About your achievements during this expedition, Aben suggested, and this was exactly what Kai had expected. So he didn't hesitate to accept immediately. Yes, of course, feel free to stop by any time, I had said. And now he was here. I had suspected he had an ulterior motive when he asked about my achievements. But suddenly he revealed a secret that even father didn't know. I understand he has no ill intent, but I couldn't guess his true purpose. Regardless, it was clear that Aben's goal was to recruit me to survive the event of the Celtarian rebellion created by Adolf. Aben needed to strengthen his position and weaken Adolf. Only then could I survive this game with the support of the Celtarian Marquis family. I need to choose my words carefully, Kai thought to himself. Then, he took a deep breath to calm down, gently placed his teacup on the table, and began, a secret that not even father knows. Let's see, if I don't know about it, wouldn't it be better? Hearing Kai say that, Aben's eyes flashed with surprise as he asked, You don't want to hear it? No, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I'm afraid you might demand something from me after revealing such a big secret, Kai explained. With these words, Aben's expression changed, becoming much more serious. That's cruel. Do you think I want something from you? Kai put on an awkward smile. You're my eldest brother. I understand what you're trying to say. Besides, I'm not confident enough to outsmart you in a battle of wits. So please just be straightforward, even though I'm currently on Adolf's side. I don't truly support him, but that didn't mean I intended to join his faction. Speaking of Adolf, he was going crazy, slashing at the scarecrows in front of him. After letting off some steam, he asked Daisy behind him, Did Big Brother go to see Kai? Yes, that's correct. The bodyguards were present, but I couldn't eavesdrop on their conversation, she replied. Meanwhile, Adolf reached for a towel to wipe the sweat from his face and gritted his teeth. I can guess what Big Brother will say. I've had my eye on Kai from the start. Does he think he can easily persuade Kai? If Kai is persuaded by Big Brother, I'll poison him. That's why I left you there, he said, turning to look at Daisy with a dangerous gaze which frightened her. Back to the conversation between Kai and Aben, Aben continued. Do you want to know the reason? Saying this, he stared intently at Kai, as if wanting to glean something from his younger brother. However, Kai's next answer truly startled him. Because my eldest brother is a good person, Kai shouted. Leaving Aben feeling a bit embarrassed, and not just him, even Kai felt his face flush when calling Aben a good person, not based solely on his actions in the game. That's right, Kai thought as he activated his third eye skill. However, because the target was of such a high level, he couldn't penetrate the essence of the subject. He could only observe a few pieces of information. Name, Aben Celtarian, 25 years old, talent, unknown, traits, unknown, affection, none. Kai was moved to tears internally. Affection, none. Am I an adult now aside from Ursiel? No one has ever had affection for this guy. Brother, you are truly a good person, Kai said emotionally, making his brother in front of him a bit frightened. Kai, why are you saying that? I'm happy that you think well of me, but actually I feel a bit sorry for you. As your eldest brother, I haven't taken care of you, and only now have I come to see you. Before he could finish, Kai cut him off. No need to apologize. If I had such a troublesome younger brother, I would have. Long ago, not doing that is already too good, Kai nodded, leaving Aben wide-eyed. But then the handsome guy burst into joyful laughter. Kai, you're good at joking. If I knew you were such a funny kid, I would have gotten close to you sooner. In that case, can you not outmaneuver Adolf? Hearing this, Aben's expression changed and he spoke seriously. Kai, can I give you everything Adolf promised? I can offer even better conditions. Can you reconsider? I don't change easily just because you're kind, right? Kai replied, but I'm indulging this kind-hearted eldest brother. At the very least, you won't kill me because I joined Adolf's faction, right? But brother Adolf is different. He has a very ruthless personality. If I become an obstacle, he will use every means to eliminate me. I've only just gotten past Leonhardt and am still a first circle mage. An apprentice, I don't have enough power to protect myself. If Adolf targets me, I won't be able to withstand it. Back to Aben. Hearing this, his expression became pensive and he smiled. Perhaps you are the only one in this family who makes such an extreme assessment of Adolf. I guess that's true, Kai replied with a shrug. But I don't disagree with your assessment. I don't dispute it at all. In fact, I agree with your point of view, don't I? Kai asked back. And Aben nodded. That's right, and this brings us back to what I said from the beginning. My minor skill is having good intuition. Since I was little, I've always had a bad feeling before something terrible happens, and following that intuition has helped me avoid danger. But as the succession ceremony approaches, the bad omen has become stronger, especially since I sense a dangerous aura from Adolf. Without concrete evidence, I can't be sure. Returning to Kai, this special ability of Aben's truly surprised him. Wait a minute, he can judge the current situation. Intuition at this level is a form of low-level precognition, isn't it? He even vaguely senses the dark power. In the game, Aben didn't have these abilities. Could it be that when I entered the game, I developed a talent that the old Kai didn't have, so other NPCs are also experiencing changes they never had before? Like Ursil, who was supposed to disappear as a supporting character but now has excellent magic talent, Kai thought to himself. Opposite him, Aben didn't know Kai's thoughts and continued to explain. It's an unexpected hypothesis, isn't it? Even so, Adolf is my younger brother and the second direct heir to the family. Although father thinks he's somewhat violent, he doesn't think he would do anything that crosses the line. But I'm here only because of a bad feeling, trying to restrain my younger brother. I don't even have any reason to convince others. That's why I'm keeping this quiet. I believe in your intuition. The day Adolf becomes the heir, the Cultivation Marquis family will perish. And everyone, including me, will not be safe, Kai said in a very serious tone. Younger brother, do you really trust me? Aben asked himself, then said, so what do you intend to do? I will pretend to join Adolf's faction and keep an eye on everything. I will temporarily act as a loyal subordinate to catch him off guard, then land a fatal blow. So you intend to stab him in the back? Aben asked back. Kai confidently affirmed, if you help me, I can take him down even faster. What do you think? Will you help me? Kai said, extending his hand forward. As your eldest brother, how can I refuse the request of such a cute younger brother? All right, I will support you from behind, he nodded, leading Kai to immediately pose his problem. First, can you help me with one thing? Time passed quickly. A few days later, on Kai's desk was a pile of gold coins along with some kind of crystal orb. A platinum coin. Just this one coin is worth several times my monthly salary, do you know that? Where did this money come from? Leonhardt asked, bewildered, and Kai smiled deviously. I asked for it from Big Brother, from Master Aben. How could that be? Leonhardt shouted, startled. Well, I only meant to borrow a little, Kai muttered, remembering his older brother's generous words earlier. You need money, I'll prepare however much you need immediately, no need to pay it back, consider it a gift for my younger brother. That's what he said. I didn't know Big Brother was so generous, Kai said, grinning from ear to ear. Meanwhile, Leonhardt was surprised to hear this but quickly looked at the crystal orb and asked, Master Kai, what is this? This is a personal communicator. Big Brother said it would be easier to contact me, so he gave it to me. Kai explained calmly. With his knowledge, the knight knew how valuable this item was, so he said to Kai, worried, he gave you a personal communicator just like that. Do you know how expensive that is? You could buy an entire villa with a garden for that. Yes, I know. Kai replied as he gathered the gold coins, explaining in more detail. But this is a simplified version. It can only be used to contact Big Brother directly. Looking at this, it seems everything with Aben's side went smoothly, right? Yes, that's right. Big Brother turned out to be as kind as I thought, Kai said with a smile, then tossed the money bag to Leonhardt, instructing, you keep this money, you'll need it soon. Opposite him, the knight reached out to take the money bag, feeling confused. What do I need this much money for? The workshop renovation is finished and we just bought magic stones and soul stones, so we don't need to buy any more, at least for now. Replying to the question, Kai stretched and said, I'm going to make money. This is my investment fund. Speaking of little Ursil. She gripped the magic staff in her hand and began to chant a light spell. Light, gather at the tip of my staff and illuminate the surroundings. No sooner had the words been spoken, for some reason. Suddenly, Fluffy's body began to shine like a set of high beams, leaving Ursil very confused. I was trying to make the staff glow, but why Fluffy? As she spoke, she noticed Fluffy had landed on Kai's head, so she quickly said, Hey, don't sit on Master Kai's head, come here. I'm sorry, Master Kai. It's all right, it's like a flashlight, quite convenient, Kai praised with a smile. However, Ursil didn't understand what a flashlight was. Meanwhile, Leonhardt had a headache that wouldn't go away. Wait, Master Kai. Why are we inside a dungeon? Opposite him, Master Kai didn't seem to understand the implication of the question, so he asked back, why ask that? Since there's a dungeon, let's go in. That's not what I meant. We clearly left home with the excuse of visiting the Enfield territory. So why did you suddenly? Kai laughed. Oh well, there's a dungeon on the way to Enfield, so I thought we'd stop by for a bit. Back to Leonhardt, seeing the clueless idiot answer like that, he could only sigh and advise, let's leave here, this is not a place we should stay for long. Contrary to his advice, Kai remained excited and didn't want to leave. Leave? What are you talking about? The dungeon exploration has only just begun. Before he could speak further, Leonhardt looked at him with a serious expression and shouted, it's dangerous, Master Kai. Think about the path we've taken. The monsters crawling at the cave entrance. The deeper we go, the fewer and less present they become. This means there is highly likely a boss deep inside, and low and mid-level monsters avoid getting close because they fear the boss. Up until now, I've been strong enough to handle everything. But from here on out, no one knows what might happen. We should turn back. Speaking of Kai, he stated his purpose. That's right, that boss is our objective. Sure enough, after the words were spoken, Leonhardt guessed something and shouted, so you knew from the beginning, and leaving home with the excuse of going to Enfield was also? No, we really have business in Enfield. It's just that I knew there was a dungeon on the way. If I had said we were going to a dungeon from the start, we wouldn't have been able to leave home, and the number of knights guarding us would have increased exponentially. Adolf's spies would have followed, and Big Brother might have insisted on sending his own guards along. It would have been chaotic. How could we have explored the dungeon then? If a battle broke out, I'd be caught in the middle. At this point, he paused for a beat, turned to look at little Ursiel, and explained, there's also the issue with Ursiel. Ursiel's spirit magic training must be kept secret. I've only told father it's not time to tell my brothers yet, so I can't let everyone see the spirit so openly. Openly? Actually, the biggest issue is that if there were too many people, I wouldn't be able to scoop up all the loot by myself. I'm going to wipe everything clean, Kai said, grinning deviously. On the other side, even though he had heard Kai's explanation, the knight's face still turned pale. But there are only 3 of us, that's too reckless. I may be a high-level knight, but Ursiel has only just started learning spirit magic, and young Master Kai, even though you recently reached the 2nd circle, you're still, he said frantically. The protagonist looked at him with an icy gaze and reminded him, hey Leonhardt, don't think just because I act weak at home that I lack power. You've seen my magic power with your own eyes. After overcoming that damn illness, it's completely different from regular magic. Right, our team is strong enough. We have a tank, a healer, and a damage dealer. We have everything we need. What else is there to worry about, Leonhardt? Your master is powerful, and I will become even stronger. And I will become even stronger. Watch closely and choose. Who will you swear loyalty to, me or my father? A knight who serves 2 masters is not worth using. I want a knight who is loyal only to me. Kai said calmly. For Leonhardt, this was a difficult question that he couldn't answer immediately. Seeing this, Kai wasn't too surprised. Currently, Leonhardt is following Renton's orders to protect me. In other words, even if Leonhardt is by my side or loyal, his true master is not me but the Marquis. To truly conquer this rigid knight, simply showing my ability isn't enough. Forcing his hand would be counterproductive. His hesitation right now is enough, and when he truly acknowledges me, I will have an impenetrable shield that belongs only to me, Kai thought to himself. Just like that, through his persuasion technique, the group decided to continue deep into the dungeon until they reached the door leading to the boss. We've finally reached the lair of this dungeon boss, the boss room, Kai said, staring intently forward where a bull-headed human monster was sitting calmly in front of the 3 of them, looking at its massive body. Ursiel's eyes flashed with fear. It's terrifyingly huge, she muttered. As for Kai, he wasn't unfamiliar with this scene. The secret sanctuary of the Minotaur, that was the name of this dungeon in the game. It was popular among newbies for grinding levels because it had no traps, a short path, and few monsters. And most importantly, the rewards were very generous compared to its difficulty. Why would I have to share this treasure? Why would I have to share this treasure with others? No way, that's why we only came here as a group of 3, Kai said excitedly. Meanwhile, Leonhardt couldn't think as optimistically. That Minotaur. It's 3 times tougher than an ogre. Fortunately, it seemed to still be sleeping. Beside him, Kai nodded. That's right, it doesn't use magic, but its power is terrifying. If you try to block its hammer swing without using sword aura, your bones will be easily crushed. Stopping for a beat, the protagonist thought for a moment and began assigning tasks. Leonhardt, you'll take the front line and draw the Minotaur's attention while blocking its hammer attacks. I'll create a shield to boost your defense. With your sword aura combined with my shield, you should be able to withstand its heavy attacks. But there's one attack you need to be careful of. When the Minotaur goes berserk and starts a spinning attack, you must dodge it at all costs. If you try to block it, no matter how strong the shield is, it'll be torn to shreds. At that point, lure it to the edge while dodging as much as possible, and when the whirlwind stops, it will be exhausted for a moment. That is exactly when we will launch our counterattack. Understood, Leonhardt nodded. Kai turned to instruct little Ursil, and Ursil, before the battle starts, buff both me and Leonhardt. Since this is your first real battle, if you're scared, you can just buff us and hide behind that rock, the young master advised. However, how could Ursil abandon these two and run away? No, I didn't study spirit magic just to hide and be protected by others. I want to be useful to Master Kai. Today I will show you the results of my training, she said in a very strong tone. Kai was slightly surprised. She says such admirable things, she's truly just a child. He nodded. All right, but don't overexert yourself. Always keep a safe distance, and if you feel in danger, you're the one who heals and buffs the team. Your most important role is to protect Master Kai, Ursil replied quickly. But Kai shook his head. No, the most important thing is to survive. As long as you don't fall, we will always have a chance. Ursil, you hold both mine and Leonhardt's lives in your hands, so remember not to forget to protect yourself. Kai reached out and patted Ursil's shoulder as if entrusting her with his final will and testament, making the girl feel a bit pressured and swallow nervously. Yes, I understand. Turning to the knight, seeing the two kids in front talking like that, he thought to himself. The location of the dungeon was previously unknown, the importance of a healer in battle, and even the tactics to defeat the Minotaur boss. These were things that normally could only be known through practical experience. But how did Master Kai, who had been locked inside his room all this time, know these things? Thinking of this, Leonhardt's eyes filled with suspicion as he spoke. Master Kai, you seem very familiar with the tactics inside the dungeon. This is definitely your first time entering a dungeon, right? His tone carried a hint of insinuation, making Kai startle upon hearing it, realizing he had shown too much and aroused Leonhardt's suspicion. Oh no, I talked too much. I forgot I'm just a 13-year-old kid. Even for a magical genius, knowing all these tactics is a bit weird. Thinking of this, he turned to bluff and salvage the situation with Leonhardt. I picked up some basic tips while hunting goblins and when we fought the ogre. Across from him, hearing this made Leonhardt's eyes even more suspicious. You learned about the Minotaur's traits and attack patterns from a goblin hunting group, a group that couldn't even deal with an ogre? Well, Kai stammered and was at a loss for words. By this time, sweat was pouring down his face like a stream, and he silently blamed Leonhardt in his heart. Why does he ask so many questions? Could Leonhardt have realized something? Could he have figured out that he wasn't the real Kai? Saying that, Kai imagined a scenario where Leonhardt pointed straight at his face and yelled, "That brat isn't the real Kai Keltarian, arrest him." Hearing that, a bunch of guards rushed in and hogtied Kai like a traditional Vietnamese tate cake. Then, the terrifying older brother Adolf approached Kai holding a torch. I knew something was fishy. There's no way a brat could mature so suddenly. He must be possessed by a demon. Burn him right now. No, I can't let that happen, Dad. Kai screamed internally and hurriedly explained. I read it in a book. You read it in a book? Information about minotaurs? Leonhardt asked back. Kai nodded like a pecking chick. That's right, I basically live in the library, and during that time I secretly read books on military strategy too, believe me. The young boy screamed internally. Kai screamed internally and put on his most sincere expression. Fanned by these words, the stubborn young man without deep ulterior motives believed it completely. So that's how it is. It turns out the reason you've been visiting the library lately is to study hard. I'm very impressed. Not only learning magic, but also researching monster combat tactics. I'm sure the Marquis will be very proud to see you mature like this. Your progress is truly astonishing, young Master Kai. Leonhardt nodded in praise. Maid Ursil chimed in. That's right, Master Kai is always amazing and super cool. Finishing her sentence, their affection toward Kai skyrocketed, leaving the young general slightly dazed. Awesome, even though he seems prickly, he's actually pretty gullible. Look at that affectionate gaze. Saying this, he let out a sigh and pondered. As for knowing the game world so well, I need to come up with some new excuse. I can't keep relying on the magical genius title. That was a close call. Brushing this issue aside, Ursil began casting her buff spells on the remaining two. Healing, light, grant them the power to protect. Boost of light, healing of light. The moment her voice finished, numerous colorful red and blue spirits appeared around Ursil. They flew toward the two and blessed them. Kai instantly received a notification. Boost of light increases health and defense by 30% while elevating magical energy and aura. Healing of light restores lost health and grants automatic regeneration over a specified duration. Seeing this, Kai's eyes lit up with joy. That's awesome, Ursil. The effect is much stronger than when you first learned it. You've improved a lot. Hee hee, the little girl smiled happily. After doing this, they officially began their assault on the boss. All right, let's go, Leonhardt. Yes, Leonhardt replied and instantly burst forth at his absolute top speed, charging straight toward the Minotaur. However, before he even reached it, the Minotaur head woke up and swung its massive fist, knocking Leonhardt's sword backward. With this first collision, he felt the difference. The effect is real. With young Master Kai's barrier and Ursil's strengthening spell, my body feels completely different, much sturdier and lighter than before, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, the Minotaur didn't rush to attack and instead turned to interrogate them. Who are you? Which bastards dare disturb my sleep? Did you come to steal my treasure? If you want treasure, then prepare yourselves to be torn apart for snacks. I won't spare anyone who covets my treasure. Before its words even finished, from afar, a sharp shard of ice suddenly flew in from the side, striking right in the monster's face and knocking its head sharply to the side. What was that? It roared angrily while scanning the direction the ice shard came from, and discovered that the owner of this attack was Kai. What do you think? Naturally, a dungeon thief, Kai answered its question. Right after that, he cast a spell called Ice Spear, shooting 3 sharp ice pillars straight forward, forcing the Minotaur to hastily raise the hammer in its hand to block. Meanwhile, the knight Leonhardt seized this opportunity, gripped his weapon, and lunged straight at the Minotaur's neck, making it scream in agony. Don't lose focus, my knight, well done, Kai called out in reminder. As for the Minotaur, after being continuously beaten down by the group, it truly went berserk. You bastards! Anyone who targets my treasure, I won't let any of you leave here in one piece. Saying that, it raised the hammer high with both hands and slammed it down hard toward Leonhardt. Seeing this, Kai in the back immediately cast a shield spell, creating a protective barrier in front of Leonhardt to block the hammer, and it successfully blocked the attack, making the bull's eyes widen. What? Blocked an attack with my full power? The giant beast said in shock. Meanwhile, Leonhardt, who directly took the brunt of the blow, had to grit his teeth to hold it off. What terrifying strength. If young Master Kai hadn't coordinated the barrier and shield spells right on time, my arm would have broken. Master Kai uses magic as precisely as if he already knew the next move, leading the battle smoothly. His tactical judgment is simply outstanding. Indeed, Master Kai is controlling this battle, Leonhardt thought to himself in the back. At this moment, Kai had just finished preparing a trap magic spell. He shouted, Leonhardt, get out of the way. The words had just left his mouth when he activated the spell, creating countless whipping threads that enveloped the bull's entire body, rendering it completely immobile. My body won't move, the Minotaur panicked and said. Next, Kai treated it to a dart magic spell, firing continuously into its back and making it howl as if the house was on fire. And it dropped straight to its knees on the ground from the pain. Seeing this, the knight in the back asked, Young Master, have you defeated it? Without waiting for Kai to reply, the boss monster's voice rang out again. Not bad, human, pushing me this far. However, this is the end. Finishing its sentence, it began using its ultimate move, Tornado, spinning its entire body like a spinning top and charging toward the group. That's the tornado attack. Leonhardt, draw its attention and lead it to the edge. Let's split up, Kai hastily directed. The knight Leonhardt knew this was the decisive moment, so he immediately rushed forward while Ursil buffed him with 2 spells, Speed Up and Blessing of Light. Then Leonhardt casually drew a dagger and threw it straight ahead, striking the Minotaur squarely in the face to draw its attention. And sure enough, although the attack didn't deal much damage, it infuriated the bull, so it immediately redirected its focus toward Leonhardt. True to the plan, Leonhardt lured the bull far away. Over on his side, Kai began muttering a countdown, simultaneously recalling the words spoken earlier. Dodge the tornado attack, that's the best strategy, we can't take it head on. But don't worry, after that attack it will be exhausted and take a short break. That will be our moment to strike. 5 more seconds, the group muttered silently to themselves. Just as Kai predicted, right at the end of the 30 seconds, the bull's body suddenly stopped as if its engine died. And luckily, right at this moment the buff spells expired. Speed Up has expired, speed returned to normal. Blessing of Light has expired, recovery speed, defense and stamina returned to normal. The Minotaur stopped moving. At the same time, young Master Kai's support spells ended. If we were even a second slower, we wouldn't have dodged that attack. Is it just coincidence, or did he calculate the timing right from the start? Leonhardt thought. Meanwhile, our protagonist had no time for such stray thoughts. Upon seeing the bull stall, he immediately cast a spell. Magic formula user control mode confirmed. Time to deal damage. This is the true magic capability limit unblocker regular ice blade. Truly a regular ice blade. Kai smiled as he created a gigantic super ice spear, aiming it straight at the boss. Consequently, the attack sent the monster, the Minotaur, down to the underworld to take up a new position, leaving behind only its hammer. At the same time, the little girl Ursil used her healing light skill to mend the wounds on Leonhardt's arm, fully healed. Thank you, Ursil, that's a relief, he nodded and said. Meanwhile, our protagonist general rushed over and started kissing the treasure chest. Treasure vault, wait, treasure, these beautiful things, they sparkle so much. Saying that, he hurriedly opened the chest, revealing piles of gold, silver, and equipment items inside. Let's see what else is in this box. Finishing his sentence, Kai activated his third eye skill to inspect them. Third eye activated target analysis, rhinoceros sword, an artifact crafted from the hard bone of a rhinoceros and a special metal. Rhinoceros strength C rank, increases strength by 10%. Durable blade D rank, much higher durability than ordinary weapons. Seeing this, Kai nodded. Oh, a great sword, this will be perfect for Leonhardt. Next, his eyes shifted to a necklace. This is Leo's necklace, a necklace filled with natural energy. Spirits will love it. Blessing of Nature C rank, can store natural energy. Clear Mind D rank, absorbs energy slightly faster than usual. This is an artifact for a spirit mage, Ursil, you should use it. Saying that, he tossed the sword and necklace to the two of them, then refocused on searching for what he wanted. Found it, Staff of Courage. Staff of Courage. A staff radiating a powerful aura, allowing for faster spellcasting. Memorization, C+ rank, can store up to 3 spells. Pre-stored spells can be used without consuming mana up to second circle spells in the game. Sticking to the mage branch, acquiring this weapon from the Minotaur dungeon is a mandatory strategy. It's an overpowered staff that can be used until reaching higher circles. Hee, with this I won't have to worry about weapons anymore. Saying that, the little brat rubbed his cheek against the staff in pure bliss. As for the knight Leonhardt, looking at the sword in his hand instead of celebrating, he fell into deep thought. Truly a marvelous sword, complete with magical effects. No wonder the Minotaur guarded this treasure with its life. But do I deserve to receive something like this? I can't even provide an answer. I still haven't found an answer to young Master Kai's question, he thought to himself. Right at that moment, Maid Ursil walked up and handed the necklace back to Kai. I feel guilty accepting items from Master Kai. I want to be useful to you, but if I accept such a treasure, how can I ever repay you? Hearing her say that, Kai looked surprised. What are you talking about? Ursil helped us a lot in today's battle. Both of you were very useful. Beside him, the knight also returned the sword to Kai and said, Ursil is right, Master Kai. This item is too valuable for me to use. As for Kai, seeing their reaction scrambled his brain. Why are you guys like this? Saying that, he sighed and enlightened them both. I'm giving you these things not merely as a reward. It's to make you stronger. We need to grow stronger but lack enough time, so these items will boost our power immensely. When receiving high-tier dungeon rewards, I know the rule is to report to the family and follow procedures to divide it, but I don't intend to report this loot and don't want other family members to know about our power. Leonhardt, Ursil, you two are the only ones I can trust. Take these items and empower yourselves so you can become my strength. We must become stronger, that's the only way to survive, especially with the darkness threatening the Cultivation house. So will you accept them? Kai asked after finishing his speech. Faced with his words, the two looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Yes, thank you, Master Kai. Great. Then let's head back to Enfield, Kai smiled and said. Yes. Time passed quickly. A few days later, in the granary region of Enfelum. Inside a mansion, someone's panicked voice rang out. What is going on? Someone from the Cultivation family suddenly shows up without prior notice. This man was Count Frontal Neron, Lord of the Enfelum region. At this moment, he was hurriedly putting on formal attire and rushing downstairs, not forgetting to ask the assistant behind him, who has arrived, the eldest young master or the second young master? The four-eyed butler stuttered. I'm not sure, but they brought an emblem that only direct descendants of the Cultivation house can. Frontal worried, they aren't planning to drag our territory into this, are they? That family. I heard the succession war is unfolding like an impending storm. Seeing him look so anxious, the butler behind him clarified. The unwritten rule is not to involve other families in the heir succession struggle, but I really don't want to get mixed up in this mess. Frontal shouted. Standing before the door of the reception room, he took a deep breath to calm himself down before finding the courage to step inside. Oh my, young master of the Cultivation house, what brings you here without prior notice? If you had told me beforehand, I would have gone out to greet you, he said with a smile. However, upon discovering that the person before him was just a kid, his smile vanished. At the same time, Kai, who was eating pastries ahead, nodded in greeting as he walked in. It's a pleasure to meet you, Count Frontal Neron. I apologize for coming here without prior notice. Who is this? He wondered. After hearing Kai's clear self-introduction, the man couldn't help shouting, What? Kai Cultivation, that notorious good-for-nothing son. Finishing his sentence, he hurriedly covered his mouth, realizing he had spoken out of turn. Meanwhile, Leonhardt exuded a dangerous aura while only Kai remained unbothered, smiling as he said, Ha, it's fine. It's true that until recently I was a troublemaker, but after overcoming my fatal illness, I reflected on my behavior and decided to change. Across from him, Count Frontal startled and asked back, What, you overcame your fatal illness, is that true? That's right, I'm practicing magic by forming circles, though it's still just the first circle. I'm trying to contribute to the family in any way I can, Kai said awkwardly. Yet just these few words were enough to make Frontal rethink him. I'd heard the youngest son was an incorrigible troublemaker. An outcast, but looking at him now, the rumors don't seem quite right. His eyes aren't gloomy at all, plus he's polite and very well-mannered. Besides, he has the commendable desire to help his family. Someone must have spread weird rumors. Thinking this, he nodded. Indeed, your father must have worried. But now he can rest easy. And come to think of it, the first mage to emerge from a family famous for swordsmanship, Marquis Cultivation, must feel greatly relieved. The future of your family is so bright. You flatter me, Kai waved his hand. Then, after pleasantries and mutual compliments, Frontal got down to business. All right, let's get down to work. I don't think you suddenly came to Enfelum without warning just to say hello. Am I right? Across from him, Kai smiled softly and replied, I apologize for arriving unannounced, but you know the Marquis is in a sensitive state due to the succession issue. I didn't want anyone to know my whereabouts. The reason I came to see the Count is to buy grain from Enfelum, as this is the largest granary in the north, Kai stated his purpose. However, the Count was slightly puzzled. Buy grain? We already have a regular agreement with the Cultivation house to exchange grain. You say you want to buy more. That's right, this will be a personal purchase for me. I want to use it for magic research. I can't reveal the nature of the research right now, but this won't be a one-time transaction. I plan to buy regularly. Enfelum has had bumper harvests over the past few years. And you have excess grain you don't know what to do with. I want to buy that hard-to-manage surplus. As for the budget, this is what I'm considering. What do you think? Saying that, Kai snapped his fingers to signal Leonhardt in the back, and Leonhardt stepped forward promptly, opening the box in his hand to reveal countless platinum gold coins inside. Just looking at this glowing money made Frontal's and the manager's eyes shine like car headlights. Platinum coins? How can a kid have so much money? Frontal thought in shock. Next, realizing he had lost his composure, he reeled it in and coughed a few times. Ahem. There's no problem selling the surplus grain. We have more than we can handle. And since a mage's research is confidential, I won't pry into its purpose. Thank you for your understanding, Kai nodded. Then Frontal raised a small doubt. Let's see, however, I'd like to confirm where this money comes from. Transactions with funds of unknown origin are quite troublesome. Especially since the buyer is so young, he said worriedly. Kai confidently replied, you don't need to worry about that. My eldest brother funded it. Your eldest brother is Master Aben? That's right. Who else could I call my eldest brother besides my older brother Aben? Kai smiled and said. Upon seeing Kai reveal the origin of the money, Frontal breathed a sigh of relief internally. I see, he nodded, thinking. If he's willing to give the youngest brother this much money, it proves the two of them are very close. The combination of Aben's calm maturity and the promising youngest brother isn't bad at all, much better than dealing with that scheming second son. It seems I can maintain a good relationship with Master Aben in the future. Thinking this, he nodded. All right, if Master Aben is backing this, I'll trust it and sell to you. Now about the price, I'll start with 7 silver coins per sack. 4 silver coins, Kai smiled, bargaining down, leaving the two opposite him speechless. The protagonist acted as if he didn't notice their expression and explained. 7 silver coins for old grain is a bit much, don't you think? If you leave it too long, you'll have to bear storage fees. If I leave it long, I'll bear storage fees. Why not sell it all to me to free up warehouse space? Let's see, 6 silver coins. Frontal conceded a bit. Yet Kai remained unsatisfied and offered another figure. 4.5 silver coins, plus it'll ease your conscience. No way, considering storage fees, I deserve at least this much. Frontal shouted. Thus, the two began a fierce competition to haggle over the price. Finally, Kai succeeded with the price he was satisfied with. Let's settle on 5 silver coins per sack deal. Later, upon returning to his room, Leonhardt the Knight had to admire Kai. I'm genuinely impressed by your bargaining skills. Did you learn that from books too? The skeptical tone made the young protagonist, who had been in a good mood, freeze. Oh, yeah, that's right. Merged into 1199. Of course, the library has everything, Kai replied awkwardly. The real reason was that he'd learned it while haggling in online marketplaces. Setting that aside, Leonhardt voiced his own question. Master Kai, you said you went to Enfield to make money, right? Was buying grain also part of your plan? Opposite him, Kai frankly admitted, that's right, I'll buy while it's cheap and sell when demand spikes to turn a profit. But the current grain supply is stable. Chris has already secured enough food reserves until next year, so even if you sell the old grain, it's hard to make a profit, he reminded him. However, Kai just said suggestively, but insurance is for times of stability, right? Right, I'm preparing in advance because something might happen. The reason for this was essentially that he knew the plot beforehand. A great famine was coming. According to the game's plot, after the Cultivation succession ceremony, an unprecedented weather phenomenon would trigger a horrific famine. Grain prices would skyrocket, and even with plenty of money, people wouldn't be able to buy food. At that point, no one would care about new grain or old grain anymore. I could say this because I know the future, but how do I explain that to this stubborn guy? How would a magic genius know about that? Kai thought, feeling a headache coming on. However, it seemed he had overthought it, because Leonhardt didn't intend to dig too deep into Kai's reasoning. I understand, since everything you've done so far has had a reason, I trust this is the same. At the same time, his affection for Kai reached 50, which brought tears of joy to Kai's eyes. Affection up to 50, when we first met, the affection was negative and now it's gone this high. Seeing my own progress is just too great, I'm so moved. Outside, Ursule the maid walked into the room and reminded him, Master Kai, Count Frontal has something he wants to discuss before dinner, please spare some time. Hearing this, the protagonist was a bit puzzled, but he later sought out Frontal. Count Frontal, I heard you were looking for me. That's right, I want to introduce someone to you. Introduce someone who? Kai wondered just before a female voice rang out before him. Hello, I am the daughter of Frontal Neron. I am Iris Neron. No way, she's actually here. Iris Neron, Kai shouted internally. Speaking of Iris Neron, thanks to her cute appearance and a rank magic talent top 5%, she had quite a few fans in the game. Especially in the early game stages when levels were still low, she became a reliable force. However, this girl had a bit of a personality problem. She was arrogant, looked down on the weak, and loved luxury. Her signature line, "Those weaker than me must bow down. If you want to meet me, bring some jewelry. Naturally, I only accept diamonds and up." In short, her personality was very problematic. Because of her extreme love for luxury, there were frequent reviews from players who went broke trying to raise her affection levels. She was an extremely high-maintenance character. Eventually, when power creep hit in the later stages of the game and S to SSS rank mages became more common, Iris just stopped at A rank, became less useful, and ended up being abandoned by many. There was no reason to recruit her. While having to endure that unpleasant personality, Kai thought to himself. Yet he was somewhat surprised by Frontal. I didn't expect Count Frontal to suddenly try to pair his daughter off with me. Saying this, he glanced at this youthful-looking middle-aged man. As he was smiling and introducing his homegrown cabbage, "My daughter is 11 years old this year. I called her because you aren't much older than her, so I thought you two would get along." As you may already know, Iris is also studying magic. And I'm not saying this just because she's my daughter, but Iris truly possesses extraordinary magic talent. Since you are also studying magic, I think it would be great if you two could talk and learn from each other. Opposite him, Kai heard this and didn't feel like he was lying, so he was a bit surprised. "Oh, I see," Kai nodded. But looking at the arrogant expression on little Iris, he could only shake his head in resignation. "But it seems your daughter has other thoughts." Thinking that, he just kept those words to himself. Outwardly, he still had to greet her cordially. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Lady Iris. I am Kai Keltarian, the fourth son of the Marquis family. I look forward to your guidance." As he spoke, he activated his insight to examine Iris's specific stat. Quickly, the information on this arrogant girl appeared before him. Name, Iris Neron, 11 years old. Talent, Mana Companion, Magic Brain. Personality, loves luxury, appearance obsessed, devoted. Current affection, -40. Ignoring the affection level after seeing the Mana Companion talent, Kai's eyes almost popped out of his skull. Wait, Mana Companion. Even though I have Mana Path, a talent I'd never seen before, if we ignore that in the original game, Mana Companion was the highest level magic talent, a gift that only 0.01% of top SSS rank mages had. But how could Iris, who was only an A rank character, possess this talent? Or was it like a Ben and Ursiel, where Iris also blossomed with a new talent? Even if her personality makes people distance themselves, if she has an SSS rank talent, everything has changed. I can't let her slip away, Kai thought, his eyes wide. Back to Iris, just as Kai mentioned, the girl arrogantly said, "The fourth son of the Keltarian family. I've heard much about the reputations of Master Aben and Master Adolf, but I've never heard of you. I heard you're only at the first circle, but I'm already at the second. How should we handle this level gap?" Hearing this, Father Frontal beside her broke into a cold sweat while the protagonist's smile stiffened. This kid, her personality has been twisted since she was little. He gritted his teeth internally and began to show a bit of his own ability. "Yes, I am at the first circle, but I've only been studying magic for 3 months." Hearing this, Iris's arrogant look softened slightly and she thought, "He created a circle after only 3 months of studying magic, twice as fast as me." Thinking this, Iris's arrogance wouldn't allow her to admit defeat, so she continued, "But starting to study magic at 13, you're starting late. Usually people start by age 10 at the latest if they want to pursue magic." Opposite her, Kai adjusted his mental state. "If I treat her like a cat that's meowing, I can endure that cranky attitude." Thinking this, the protagonist felt more at ease and said, "Yes, I started a bit late, because I was suffering from a terminal illness and have only just recovered," Kai said with a smile. As soon as she heard this, Iris's expression changed immediately. "You overcame a terminal illness, that's quite." "Don't get the wrong idea, I'm not praising you," the girl shouted. Uncle Frontal added, "Iris, you've heard about terminal illnesses before, haven't you? To overcome one, you need to be born with extraordinary magic or aura. That is why people who overcome such diseases are often called magic geniuses or knights. That Master Kai overcame such a disease at age 13 is truly amazing. Master Kai will surely develop even further. I hope you can learn a lot and be positively influenced by interacting with him," Frontal said with a smile. Yet the girl still argued, "But he's still just first circle. What could you possibly learn from someone inferior to you, Iris?" Frontal said awkwardly while Kai was still there. Iris's words didn't surprise the protagonist as much as predicted. That personality of looking down on the weak, she kept disparaging him endlessly. "Indeed, that personality has many problems. I have to fix that trait. Recruitment Project number 3, Iris, next it's your turn. Thinking this, Kai decided to teach the girl a lesson. You shouldn't judge others by their appearance, Lady Iris. I will prove that I am not weaker than you. I will prove that I am not weaker than you, and when that happens, will you stop looking down on me? As he spoke, Kai stepped closer, making Iris's face blush slightly with embarrassment. Too close, she thought to herself and stammered. What, you're quite confident, aren't you? How are you going to prove it? Kai knew Iris was about to fall into his trap, so he continued to lure her. Then let's have a duel. If I lose, I'll admit I'm weaker than you. But if I win, then... Before Kai could finish. With her arrogant personality, Iris immediately accepted. Fine, I accept the challenge, and if I win, you'll have to kneel and lick my feet. After saying that, the girl burst into hearty laughter, leaving Uncle Frontal's brain tangled like a mess of yarn. Hey Iris, where did you learn that behavior? A lady shouldn't say things like that. Oh, I read it in a book, Iris replied, bewildered. Kai was stunned. Lick your feet. What's the name of that book? Tell me, he whispered to himself. Uncle Frontal was determined to get to the bottom of it. Iris, have you been reading those age-restricted romance novels again? No, Iris replied, but the sweat pouring down her face betrayed her. Kai was confident in his own ability, so he didn't mind agreeing. That's fine, go ahead. If I lose, I'll lick your feet, your toes. Whatever you want, Master Kai, what are you saying? Even if you lose, don't do that, the uncle shouted. Ignoring him, the protagonist stated his condition. But if I win, you will have to accept me as your teacher. And you are no longer allowed to look down on those with a lower rank or those weaker than you. You must promise me, he said sternly. Faced with this request, seemingly already annoyed by Frontal's scolding, Iris didn't hesitate to agree. Fine, let's try it. There's no way someone at the first circle who just started magic can beat me. She pointed directly at Kai and declared. Then the girl slammed the door and left in a huff. Looking after her back, Uncle Frontal apologized to Kai. Iris, my daughter, has some personality issues, because the family has spoiled her since she was little. But if she grows up like this, it'll be very hard for her to fit into the world. She has no friends, and honestly her reputation in social circles isn't very good. So even someone who spoils her can recognize Iris's problems, Kai thought. Frontal sighed and hoped for Kai's understanding. Since you also went through a turbulent childhood, I thought you might understand Iris's psychology and behavior. Please forgive her rudeness. If she loses and learns a lesson, it might be a good thing. Don't hold back on her, or rather, have a serious match with her. You have my permission. Kai involuntarily smiled. Let's see, since her father has given permission, I have to teach her a lesson. As for Iris, the girl was still furious. A first circle person dares to challenge me. I'm so angry. But he is kinda handsome. Her face flushed slightly. But still, he's only at the first circle. Only the first, that's right, I'll make him lick my feet, she vowed. Returning to Kai's group, Leonhardt suddenly voiced his thoughts. Perhaps Count Neron introduced his daughter for another reason. Kai raised an eyebrow. Another reason, what do you mean? Leonhardt analyzed. Even though she's only 11, this age is still suitable for an engagement. The age gap with Master Kai is also quite ideal. Perhaps the Count is thinking about the future of those two. Hearing this, Kai's face went pale. What? Future engagement? That child is only 11, what are you talking about? Kai yelled, his eyes widening. Even though as a modern person he couldn't accept this, for Leonhardt it was perfectly normal. Nobles usually marry earlier than commoners, and engagement while still a minor is also a common occurrence. Knowing Leonhardt was telling the truth, Kai retreated to a corner to comfort himself. I didn't know why Count Neron suddenly brought his daughter to introduce to me. It turns out he was planning this, but how old am I? The more he thought, the more Kai felt like the one being lured. Leonhardt reminded him, so don't be too harsh on her in tomorrow's match. You never know how the future of those two might turn out. Besides, even if she is arrogant, she's still just a young lady. Contrary to Leonhardt, Kai wanted to vent all his anger on Iris. No way. Iris, no way. If his intent is like that, then I have to crush her even more clearly. I have to marry someone so cranky just for her social status. No way, I will definitely refuse. I will use my strength to polish that girl's behavior. The more he spoke, the more excited Kai became. This berserker state left Leonhardt not knowing how to dissuade him. At the same time, behind him, little Ursil, hearing that Kai might be engaged, stood frozen for a few seconds. Master Kai, engaged to that girl. Time passed quickly until the next day, as promised. The match between Kai and Iris was about to take place, with Leonhardt serving as the referee. He laid out the rules. The duel will be a single round. Knock out your opponent with magic, but do not injure one another. If the situation becomes dangerous, I will intervene immediately. Do you both agree? Kai turned to ask Iris, my personal knight Leonhardt will be the referee. You don't have any objections to that, do you? No. Leonhardt is a renowned high-level knight, even famous in Enfield. I know he won't be biased toward anyone, Iris replied coldly. Leonhardt declared, then let's begin. Ready, start. No sooner were the words spoken than Iris immediately swung her wand to create a firebolt, shooting a wavy-shaped flame straight at Kai. With this speed of spellcasting, even the protagonist had to admit, she casts spells really fast. It's hard to believe this is the skill of an 11-year-old child. But compared to me, she's still far behind. Saying that, he used wind magic, creating a magic circle right in front of him. And from within the spell, a strong green gust of wind blew forward. It engulfed the flame, preventing it from moving even an inch further. Opposite him, Iris saw her attack neutralized so easily. Her face grew strained and grimacing. You blocked the firebolt with wind, don't underestimate me. When it comes to mana, I don't lose to anyone. I won't lose to a first circle mage. She reused firebolt, deciding to pour more mana into the spell until it was nothing less than a giant pillar of fire. It shot straight at Kai, but yet again, it was completely blocked by the layer of wind energy. Kai silently praised, this kid has guts. At this age, her mana is quite impressive. Defense isn't Kai's style, so he launched an attack. Then, can you block this? He activated yellow lightning magic aimed straight at Iris while maintaining his wind spell. Uncle Neron couldn't believe his eyes. What? Dual casting? This technique is something a mage of the first level can use. Seeing the lightning bolt coming, Iris hurriedly used a shield. Blocked it, the girl thought. Her face was drenched in sweat from fear. But then she realized the firebolt flame above had been slowly extinguished by Kai's wind gusts. Her face became even more bewildered. Can even wine swallow flames? No, I need to chant another spell. Right as Iris swung her wand to prepare another spell, the staff in Kai's hand pointed straight at her face, signaling the end of the battle. Checkmate, he said softly and withdrew his staff. Leonhardt declared, the battle ends, Master Kai wins. Looking after Kai's back, Iris still refused to accept it. No way did I lose. A first circle mage defeated a second circle mage. Unable to accept the result, the girl shouted loudly, that was just luck. My condition wasn't good just now. Let's fight again. Fine, the protagonist responded nonchalantly. This time I will definitely win. Iris gritted her teeth. Time passed quickly. Once again, the child prodigy knelt on the ground, gasping for air from exhaustion. Leonhardt declared the result. Master Kai wins the 5th round. Looking at the defeated appearance of the girl, Kai gave her some advice. No matter how many times you try, the result will remain the same. End it here, you're out of mana anyway. Hearing Kai, Iris gritted her teeth, tears falling. I lost, I can't accept this. I won't accept it. The more she thought, the more agitated she became, and she tilted her head back and wailed. Kai was startled. Hey, Lady Iris, while Count Neron rushed over to comfort his daughter. Oh my god, I made her cry. Was I too harsh? The young man wondered after obliterating an 11-year-old child with 5 consecutive clean wins. That night at Count Neron's mansion, Kai was checking the box sent by Frontal. Count Neron even sent me an outfit for the party. This is just a family meeting. His voice sounded a bit restless. Leonhardt advised. This is still a formal occasion. It's best to dress appropriately. But why invite me to the party? I just made his daughter cry. I thought he'd cancel the party altogether. Kai wondered. Leonhardt replied, didn't the Count say it was fine? And besides, I suspect he'd already guessed this would happen. Since Master Kai decisively defeated Lady Iris, Count Neron seems even more determined to build a relationship between you and his family. Kai still felt uneasy, but Iris hates me even more now. I don't know what she thinks. Leonhardt thoughtfully shook his head. I don't think so. Looking at her expression, it seems Lady Iris also. Really? Kai asked. Since it was almost time, Leonhardt urged. Anyway, you should get ready, Ursil. Give the young master a hand. Ursil waddled over to help Kai dress. Leonhardt shook his head in disappointment. Master Kai seems to understand everything but knows nothing about matters of the heart. At least in that regard, he's still his own age, which is fortunate. Ursil finished fixing Kai's outfit. All done, Master Kai, you look amazing. Looking at his sparkling appearance, even Leonhardt was stunned. It really suits you. Kai was surprised. Oh, then shall we go? Switching to the banquet hall, as soon as Kai stepped in, he was greeted by the remaining boys of the Neron family. Welcome, Kai. We've been waiting for you. Hearing this, Kai responded, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to meet you. I am the eldest son, Miles, the brown-haired teenager said. And I am Lemon with the purple hair, he said as he shook Kai's hand. Seeing them so enthusiastic, the protagonist smiled back. Very happy to meet both of you. I have a feeling this will be an interesting party. Not far away, Uncle Frontal nodded with satisfaction upon seeing the group's friendly atmosphere. Then, looking around with a puzzled expression, he asked, but why is our princess taking so long? Hey, someone go call Iris. Yes, sir, someone replied. Seeing that Iris still hadn't arrived, Kai felt a bit uneasy, thinking that, because he had made her cry, perhaps her absence was entirely his fault. Fortunately, though, Kai was overthinking it, because right after that, a maid led young Iris outside. Father, I've arrived, she greeted in a much more matured demeanor, her hair swept up into an elaborate updo and a black dress that exuded a noble elegance. Looking at this appearance, Uncle Frontal clapped and cheered like a Martian. You look stunning, my princess, ignoring his attitude. The young girl stood dazed at Kai's appearance, while the protagonist himself was somewhat mesmerized by the haughty young Mrs. look. Then the two exchanged an awkward glance. It took a few seconds for Kai to regain his normal thoughts. I thought she wouldn't show up because she cried too much, but I never expected. Across from him, Iris pondered inwardly, what, he's even more handsome now, but dressing up makes him look even better. The more she thought, the redder her face became. brushing that aside. Seeing everyone finally gathered, Frontal cheerfully invited, "Come on, let's sit down and eat." "Kai, sit over there," the uncle said as he purposely arranged Kai's seat right next to Iris. However, sitting next to this prickly young miss made Kai feel a bit uneasy. Sitting next to Iris? Should I be sitting here? What if she cries or gets angry because I'm sitting beside her? Kai muttered to himself before suddenly sensing that Iris's affection toward him had jumped from -42. Seeing such an unusual increase in stats, the protagonist wondered inwardly. Affection? When did it go up by 30 points? Is there something that made her affection increase? All I remember is making her cry, or is it because of the arrogant trait? Man, I need to prepare better next time, the young hero reminded himself. Thus, the meal proceeded in a much more pleasant atmosphere than expected. Even Iris behaved calmly before her family, without showing any arrogance. During the meal, she suddenly spoke up. Could you pass me the pepper shaker?" Hearing that, Kai casually picked up the pepper jar beside him and tossed it to her. "Oh, here, you want this one." Saying that, his hand lightly brushed against Iris's hand, causing her cheeks to flush as she startled. What is this?" she stammered. "Oh no, it's just that the pepper jar was close by," Kai calmly explained. "Then, I'll leave the pepper here, thank you," the girl replied. Returning to Kai, he grew suspicious of the affection stats the system displayed for Iris. Affection really did go up. But her attitude seems a bit weirder, Kai asked himself. Time quickly passed until the next day. For some unknown reason, young Miss Iris suddenly paid a visit, leaving him somewhat unadapted. "To be honest, I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come see me first, Miss Iris." After sipping her tea and setting the cup down on the table, the young miss got straight to the point. "You must keep your promise. You said you would become my teacher, right? Then teach me, why is your magic so powerful? It's a bit different from how magic is normally used, isn't it? I've never seen that kind of magic in any book. Who did you learn it from, or did you develop it yourself? And how on earth can you use dual spellcasting? Tell me." The more she spoke, the more her whole body glowed with excitement, forcing Kai to hurriedly slam on the brakes. "Hold on a second. In short, Miss Iris wants to become my disciple, is that right? But that's not the only condition, is it? If you want to learn magic from me, you have to change your attitude." "My attitude?" Iris asked back as if she didn't quite understand. Left with no choice, Kai had to spell it out directly. Be polite to others. Don't look down on the weak, stop being so stubborn, and think 3 times before getting angry. Kai calmly listed each requirement, yet with each condition given. The young Mrs. face grew a shade darker. "What kind of nonsense is that? Even my father doesn't force me to do things like this," the young lady snapped angrily. Kai refused to pamper her and shook his head. "If you don't change your attitude, I won't teach you magic." "No way," Iris protested stubbornly. Ignoring that attitude, Kai continued to lure her. "As Miss Iris guessed, my magic is cast through a unique method I developed myself. This dual casting method has never been published anywhere, so you can't learn my method anywhere else. Furthermore, being directly taught by the person who invented this magic is an extremely rare opportunity, and I'm sure a young mage like you understands what that means." Saying this, Kai smiled softly, and Iris completely understood the significance of it. However, accepting Kai's condition felt like admitting defeat to him, so she was currently having an internal struggle. Yet in the end, unable to resist the temptation of this novel magic, the little girl angrily agreed. "Fine, I accept your condition." Across from him, seeing that the fish had taken the bait, the protagonist cheered inwardly. However, he didn't forget to warn her. "Don't just pretend to behave well in front of me. I'm not stupid. I've figured out all your tricks. So to make things clear, I've already prepared beforehand." "What is it this time?" Iris complained at the thorough preparation. Immediately afterward, the protagonist waved his hand and a small scroll materialized before them. Looking at the scroll, Kai immediately identified it, a magic contract. Kai nodded and continued. "It states here that you accept my control and that you will become my disciple. You just need to sign it, but you know, if you break a magic contract, an absolute punishment enforced by divine power will be triggered. This punishment is decreed by the ancient gods. So no magic can break it, so be careful," Kai warned with a smile. Meanwhile, being forced to sign such a contract hurt Iris's pride. "Wait, do you really have to sign a magic contract like this? Don't you trust me?" Kai shrugged and admitted, "Correct, I don't trust you. Relying on a mere empty promise dragged on for 11 years. That bad habit is deeply ingrained. Glad I didn't have to go through all this trouble," Kai thought before continuing. "Besides, this magic contract was given to me by Count Neron after our sparring match yesterday." Kai recalled the scene when the uncle handed over the scroll. "Kai, please take good care of my daughter. After today, I'm certain you're the only one who can keep her in check. If Iris doesn't listen, use this magic contract. It's a rare treasure our family only has 2 of. I'm being dead serious," the uncle said while practically crying over the expense. Returning to reality, Kai shrugged. That's what he said, leaving the young miss skeptical, unable to believe her father would do such a thing. "What? My father, stop lying. There's no way my father would say that. I'm going to confront him." Iris turned away, seeing her reaction. Kai sighed inwardly. She really is a handful, he muttered before saying in a cold tone, stop right there. If you walk away, our contract becomes void. Of course I won't teach you magic anymore, and you'll never see me again. Iris's steps faltered. Never see you again. That, she stammered, but Kai didn't give her time to hesitate. Make your choice right now. Come back, sign the contract, and learn magic from me, or walk out of this room and never see me again. Kai glanced at her with supreme confidence. Kai urged inwardly, come on, make a decision already, kid. I'll forgive all your whining up until now. Even though Iris possessed SSS rank genius potential, if her personality didn't fit, he would just have to let her go. He needed reliable comrades and subordinates, not a master to suck up to. If Iris walked away, he would give up. A few seconds later, faced with Kai's pressure, the young miss clenched her pen and yelled, fine, happy now, I'll sign. She grumbled unhappily as she spoke. She quickly reviewed the clauses inside the contract. Seeing her accept, Kai smiled softly. You've got potential, good job. Read the terms carefully and sign. I am party the first and you, Iris, are party the second. Kai nodded. The young miss read the contract with teary eyes. Inside it stated, Clause 1, party the first shall teach party the second the movement arts. Clause 2, party the second must treat those weaker than her gently. Clause 3, party the second must think at least 3 times before getting angry. Clause 4, party the second shall only purchase items deemed necessary. Clause 5, party the second must not reveal or spread the movement arts to a third party. Clause 6, if any of the above clauses are violated, both parties shall suffer a penalty consisting of a mild stomachache. This stomachache will disappear once the clauses are fulfilled again. Clause 7, during the contract period, party the second must follow requests from party the first regarding combat operations. If this clause is violated, both parties' magic circles will be disabled. Reading it, Iris blinked naively and asked, a mild stomachache? That's right, a mild stomachache, Kai smiled. This put her at ease. I was so worried about the punishment, but it doesn't sound like a big deal, does it? Thinking that, not wanting Kai to see her relieved expression, the little girl clicked her tongue. Just sounds fine. Seeing that expression, Kai read her thoughts. You haven't felt the pain yet, so you don't know. Returning to Iris after reading Clause 7, the young girl raised an eyebrow and asked, wait, is the punishment for the clause about? Well, the combat clause quite harsh. Do I really have to participate in combat? Kai shrugged. Naturally, if you're afraid of combat, you don't need to learn stronger magic. Why do you want to learn magic? He asked aloud. The reason for learning magic was a crucial factor in determining the teaching direction. Iris's face turned pensive for a moment. Because I want to be better than others. I want to be praised. The feeling of defeating someone and making them submit gives me such a thrill. I want everyone to keep looking up to me and admiring me. That's why I started learning magic. But lately, I've started enjoying magic itself. I like watching my skills improve, and getting stronger has become fun too. I can even stay up all night studying. Her voice grew more excited. Hearing her reasoning, a flash of surprise crossed Kai's eyes. Very quickly, Kai wore a knowing smile. Right, the competitive spirit and the desire to grow stronger. This is exactly what I wanted to confirm. The primary factor to become a mage isn't how large your mana pool is, but rather curiosity, the desire to explore magic, and the thirst for power. Without these, one can never truly grow stronger. These were the true traits of someone who possessed the companion of mana trait. Iris continued happily. Ever since I first learned magic, I've always wanted to become stronger. I want much stronger magic, even more power. After double-checking the contract and finding no issues, Iris swiftly signed her name on the scroll. The contract lifted from Iris's hands, floating in midair. Finally, it rolled itself up and fell into Kai's hands. Done. So the contract is signed. Looking forward to working with you, I hope, Miss Iris. You will become my reliable companion in the future. Kai extended his hand forward in goodwill. Too bad Iris was overly sensitive. A companion sounds a lot like a marriage proposal, doesn't it? The young girl's little head began steaming. What are you even saying? I expect a lot more than that. We're done talking, so I'm leaving right now. Saying that, the embarrassed young miss immediately bolted away, leaving Kai completely clueless about what had just happened. Good grief, what is it this time? Leonhardt remained silent. Master Kai, you should mind your words. You have no idea how handsome you look. Time passed. By evening, while smoothing out a bedsheet, Ursil asked, are you planning to marry Miss Iris? The sudden question nearly made Kai choke on his water. Hey, what are you talking about, Ursil? She's only 11. And I'm only 13. I haven't even thought about marriage yet, Kai shouted out loud. Then he sighed internally. Oh Lord, why are people here so eager to have kids get married early? Seeing Kai's reaction, Ursil asked back, so you haven't thought about it at all? Of course not, plus I have too many things to do. I won't consider marriage until I turn 18. Kai affirmed, prioritizing becoming stronger and handling his tasks came first. The world is ending soon. When do I have the leisure to leisurely think about marriage or romance? He reminded himself. A gleam of joy flickered in Ursil's eyes. I understand, so you haven't thought about it. Ursil said calmly while calculating. When Master Kai turns 18, I'll be 17. To ensure Kai wouldn't go plowing other people's gardens, she hinted. Master Kai, my mother is very pretty, so I'll be very pretty when I grow up. Well then, I'm leaving. Huh, good night. The little girl happily left immediately. With those words, even a fool like Kai could pick up on the hint. What's this? Kids here mature so fast. If Ursil is worried about marriage. She said she'll become pretty. She's already very pretty now, so when she grows up, she'll definitely be even prettier, the naive general said. Before his thoughts drifted to the maid's background. Wait, but Ursil's mother. Ursil comes from a barren noble family after her family collapsed and they were demoted. She was sold off as a slave. Her father and brothers all died, but her mother and younger sister are rumored to still be alive, though nobody knows where they are right now. Kai muttered, Ursil must be curious too, yet she hasn't said anything. Is she not interested in tracking down her family, or does she feel too guilty to ask me for help? Either way, I should try to look into it. Time passed. A few days later, after finishing his business at the Neron family territory, Kai decided to leave. Well then, I'm off. Thanks for everything. See you later. The general waved goodbye. Watching the carriage depart, the haughty young Miss Iris felt somewhat annoyed. Why is he in such a rush to go home? Couldn't he have stayed here a few more days? Uncle Frontal expressed surprise. Oh, it seems my daughter really likes Master Kai, huh? Don't be sad after all, in a few months he'll be back to teach you magic anyway, haha. Hearing the teasing laughter, Iris's face flushed bright red like a ripe pomegranate. Huh, what does father mean by liking someone? I'm mad now, he didn't teach me anything before leaving. Just wait, next time I won't open the door. Before she could finish her sentence, the young girl felt a sharp pain. Sitting down and clutching her stomach, Hey Iris, what's wrong? Frontal said worriedly. My stomach hurts so bad. Your stomach hurts? Frontal asked in puzzlement very quickly. He recalled Kai's words, she must think 3 times before getting angry, otherwise she'll get a stomachache. Remembering this, everything clicked into place. Could this be the penalty from the contract? Iris, stop getting angry, think 3 times, you have to restrain your anger, otherwise your stomach is going to keep hurting, he hurriedly said. What? I'm not allowed to get angry. Damn you, Kai, the young girl cried out and burst into bitter tears while clutching her abdomen. Meanwhile, our Kai was happily whistling inside his carriage. Sounds like someone is cursing me again, wonder who it could be. Time passed quickly, and upon returning from the Enfield territory, the eldest brother Aben suddenly came to see Kai. What? Brother Aben bought grain from Enfelum too? Why would you do that? Kai asked in astonishment. Because he hadn't heard anything about this older brother hoarding food for the upcoming Great Famine. Answering his query, Aben walked as he spoke. After hearing about your trip, I suddenly got a good hunch, so I bought some too. How much is some? Kai asked back. Well, probably around this much, Aben said, gesturing with emotion that was censored by the author. Yet looking at that scale, Kai's eyes widened like a bull's. What, that much? He bought 100 times more than I did. Kai thought to himself, I just felt buying more was better. Even if it incurs a loss, don't worry, I won't blame you. Aben waved his hand dismissively. Lost my foot, I'm about to strike it rich. Kai screamed internally, though he still had to force himself to mask his joy to avoid letting his clever older brother notice anything. Ah well, I'm not worried about that. You must be the type who always wins the lottery, right? Kai wondered aloud. Aben looked slightly surprised. Lottery? That's too extravagant for my status, so I've never tried it. Why would I need to with my luck? I'm so jealous of his intuition, Kai muttered to himself. Time passed, shifting scenes to Uncle Renton, who was still tied up with his routine training. Then Kai's voice suddenly rang out. Did you call for me, sir? Hearing the call, the uncle halted his movements, turned to look, and saw Kai standing nearby holding a face towel. The uncle nodded and said, Thanks for coming. How was the trip to Enfield? Yes, Count Neron hosted me very hospitably. The trip was quite comfortable, Kai smiled. The uncle, wiping away sweat with a towel, said, I just received a letter from the Count. He mentioned that you're going to teach magic to Iris. That's right, I happened to run into them and things just turned out that way. The uncle's face looked slightly awkward as he asked back, That family's daughter is rather unique. Aren't they? Teach her well. Yes, I'll do my best. It's a good experience anyway. Sensing some lingering concern regarding a betrothal, Kai followed up. By the way, did the Count mention anything else? Merged into sentence 1477. Hearing the question, the uncle awkwardly glanced away and said, Well, he did. He brought up your engagement with Iris, but the Cultivation house doesn't have a tradition of early betrothals. Besides, neither the eldest nor the second son is engaged yet, so the youngest cannot go first. Renton shook his head. This aligned with Kai's thoughts. Yes, I think so too, plus I still have a lot to learn. I fell behind because of my fatal illness, so I need to catch up quickly, meaning there won't be any engagement for now. Could you help me handle this matter? All right, he nodded in agreement. Then thank you, saying that. Kai breathed a sigh of relief internally. At least he won't be distracted by this anymore. Now I won't be pressured into marriage. What a relief. Returning to Renton. Prompted by some unknown thought, his tone shifted. No, Kai, I never intended to force you into any political marriage. Kai, although your mother and I were never officially married, it wasn't because she had a low status. Or rather, it was because your mother didn't want it. Saying that, he gently touched the pendant around his neck. Then he turned to look at Kai with an emotional gaze. At that moment, a few memories flooded back into the uncle's mind when Kai's mother was pregnant. I don't want a marriage, I don't need a formal wedding, I am content with how things are right now. Hearing that, Renton feared she felt insecure about her status and hastily reassured her. No, why would you say that? If it's about my status, you don't need to worry. Becoming a concubine is fine too, and the retainers have already approved of you. Before the uncle could finish his sentence, Kai's mother shook her head gently. I know, but I was the late Marchioness's maid. I feel guilty toward her, and it doesn't feel right toward the two young masters who just lost their mother. I don't need any title as long as I have you and the children and the baby in my belly too. I am already fulfilled. And the baby in my belly too. I am already fulfilled. Will you protect us? Will you protect us, me and the children? Saying that, she gently placed her hand over Renton's. Of course, I love you and the children as well. Returning to reality, the storytelling sequence resumed. Your mother and I loved each other and brought you into this world. When choosing a life partner, you should also consider the family's interests. Don't worry about status gaps. I haven't done much for you, but from now on I will support whatever you want to do. I will always support you, absolutely, the uncle reaffirmed. At these words, Kai was stunned for a few seconds. That's surprising. Is he actually feeling fatherly guilt? Does the Marquis truly have the heart of a father? No, that's not the whole story. If the youngest son, who isn't close to the succession, marries the daughter of a powerful family and gains immense influence, it could spark conflict within the family. Renton puts the family above all else, so until the succession is fully stabilized, he wants to avoid any trouble. That sounds exactly like Renton's way of thinking. For now, keeping me as the harmless youngest son is safer, Kai thought, then replied with relief. Yes, I understand. I'm still young and can't grasp all these complexities yet. If there's nothing else, may I return to the library? Very well, go ahead, Renton nodded in agreement. Then, watching his back as he left, a look of sadness appeared on the man's face. That child, did I mention anyone? But he avoids talking about her. He doesn't even call me father anymore. Aisa, are you blaming me too? As he spoke, he gazed at the image of his late wife inside his locket. Back to Kai, Renton's words still left him in deep thought. He only snapped back to reality when he suddenly remembered something. I forgot about the dungeon loot. Good grief, talking about Mom and the Marquis completely threw me off track. It'd be awkward to bring it up now, right? I told Leonhardt not to report the dungeon to the Marquis until I'd talked to him, but who knows whose orders he'll follow, whether he listens to me or the Marquis. Whatever, if he reports it, then so be it. I'll deal with it when I get there. For now, I need to get back to the library. Thinking this, Kai picked up his pace. At a corner, he bumped into someone. Oh, sorry, huh? Kai was shocked to see the figure he'd collided with. It was Duke Cultivation, the third son of the Cultivation family. Speak of the devil, looks like he's gotten taller. Even though he was 2 years younger than me, his physique was far superior, likely thanks to training with knights since he was a child. I heard he just became a low-level knight, Kai frowned as he thought. Meanwhile, Duke looked annoyed to see Kai here. Why are you here? Father told you not to set foot in the main house anymore. Kai's expression turned cold. The ban has been lifted. I was recognized for my contribution to the monster subjugation team. Hearing this, Duke stared and scoffed. Contribution? What are you plotting now? Playing at being mature again. Regarding Duke, he truly hated Kai, the younger brother who was 2 years his junior, because he believed that their mother, Aisa, had passed away due to the stress Kai caused. Years ago, when Duke was buried under a blanket, crying beside his mother, the door suddenly flew open. Kai walked in and asked, "Why are you so quiet? Shouldn't you be happy when your son comes home?" Hearing his voice, Duke replied vacantly, "Mother is gone." "What?" Kai said, shocked. Then he looked at Lady Aisa lying motionless on the bed, and instinctively let out a confused smile. Damn, didn't think she'd leave before me. Hearing this, Duke's eyes rolled back in rage as he lunged, pinning Kai against the wall and shouting, "You bastard, how dare you say that? Mother worried about you so much, yet you were always causing trouble. Always fighting, stealing money from home, and playing around. Don't you know? Mother worried about you until she fell ill, and you didn't even know how serious her condition was. This is all your fault. You're the one who killed Mother." The more he spoke, the angrier Duke became. Meanwhile, when Kai heard Duke dump all the blame on him, he grew angry and shoved Duke's hands away. "Let go. Are you saying Mother's death is all my fault? Who should be responsible for me having this terminal illness? Who gave birth to me in this miserable body?" Kai yelled, tears streaming down his face. At this point, feeling he couldn't reason with Kai anymore, Duke didn't hesitate to punch the brat in the face, sending his weak body rolling onto the ground. "You're worse than an animal. I put up with you while Mother was alive. But I've reached my limit. I don't have a younger brother like you," Duke said coldly and turned to leave. Damn it, Kai gritted his teeth. Returning to reality, remembering the images from the past. Kai didn't know what to say to his former self. This isn't going to be easy to resolve, he muttered. Back to Duke, knowing how Kai was in the past, he couldn't believe his ears. You say you've grown up, don't make me laugh, I don't believe it. I know your rotten nature better than anyone. Get out of the main house, never show your face in the main house ever again. Opposite him, Kai understood why Duke felt that way, but he couldn't stand being treated like this. That's going to be difficult. The family head has officially lifted my confinement and allowed me into the main house. So what right do you have to override the family head's orders? Duke, are you higher ranked than the family head? You, Kai said in a provocative tone, making the boy's face hop with veins, you piece of trash. As he spoke, he prepared to land another punch on the protagonist's face. But right then, his wrist was caught by the villain Adolf. Stop it, he said softly. Brother, Duke was confused to see Adolf intervene. You shouldn't hit your younger brother like that, Duke, especially not in father's main house. Hearing this, Duke somewhat realized his actions and bowed his head. I'm sorry, I should. It's not me you should apologize to, it's Kai, Adolf said while shaking his head. But to this request, the teenager immediately refused. That's something I could never do. Then I'll be going now, Brother Adolf, he said, and as if he didn't want to see the protagonist's rotten face anymore, he left immediately. Seeing his determined attitude, Adolf sighed. Stubborn kid, who does he take after? He muttered sarcastically. Meanwhile, Kai glanced at him and assessed. Adolf, his timing was perfect. He must have been watching for a while, right? Returning to Adolf after watching Duke walk away, he turned to ask the protagonist. So, are you hurt anywhere, Kai? Duke isn't always like that. You know that your mistakes in the past are the reason he doesn't trust you. Kai nodded and wanted to turn and leave, but Adolf held him for a moment and said, but I trust you. Hearing this, Kai realized why Adolf had been following him like this. Thank you for trusting me, he replied gently. Then Adolf talked about Duke learning swordsmanship from him. But no matter how he trains, Duke's skills remain average. It seems Duke has hit his limit, Kai. You are a mage who has overcome a terminal illness. You are on a completely different level compared to normal people like Duke. Teaching you would be much more interesting. And if Duke bothers you, just tell me, I can send him away elsewhere, he promised once more. It seemed that to pull Kai into his faction, this guy was putting his heart and soul into it. Returning to Kai, the information from Adolf made him think, Duke is learning swordsmanship from Adolf. And comparing me to him just to score points, is he really that jealous of me? Thinking this, Kai humbly said, you're too kind. I'm only at the first circle, I still have much to learn. Anyway, I'm off to the library, thanks for your help. Yeah, study hard, he said with a smile. Then, as he left, Kai couldn't help but turn to look at Adolf one more time because there was one thing he didn't understand. Why on earth would Adolf spend time teaching swordsmanship to someone with only average talent like Duke? Adolf was certainly not the type of person to care attentively for his younger brothers, nor was he the type to waste effort just to tease him. In the plot, Duke never survived the rebellion, no matter the timeline. Perhaps Adolf took care of Duke every single time, but why? But why could there be a secret about Duke that I'm completely unaware of? The more Kai thought, the more he felt his theory was well-founded. Cutting to a small village. At this moment, for some reason, Leonhardt the Knight was carrying a gift box in this area. He even kept a vigilant eye on his surroundings. Everything started the night before. After finishing his report to Uncle Renton regarding what Kai did in Enfield. Very well, it seems Kai behaved well in Enfield. This aligns with what Count Neron wrote in his letter. Then Renton looked at the reports and asked, did anything else happen on the way there or back? Hearing this, the knight began to remember the fight inside the dungeon. However, since Kai had ordered him to keep the dungeon and the loot a secret, Kai would tell Renton himself. Even though it went against his principles, Leonhardt gritted his teeth and said, nothing happened, sir. A few low-level monsters appeared, but they weren't a real threat. Hearing this, the head of the Cultivation house had no suspicions at all. I see, then continue to keep watch. With someone by Kai's side, I always feel at ease. Back to reality. While walking forward, Leonhardt still questioned himself for a moment. I prioritized Master Kai's orders over the family heads. Is something like that really okay? The more he thought, the more troubled his heart felt, and then, a shout from in front caught his attention. Leon, hearing the familiar sound, Leonhardt looked up and smiled. Is that you, father? Standing before him was a man dressed simply, wearing a straw hat and carrying 2 fishing rods. Time passed quickly, shifting to a small lake. While the two were fishing, the older man asked, so, how long will you be staying this time? I'll be here for about half a day, Leonhardt replied. I see, that's a pity, it's been half a year since you were last home, the man said regretfully. Then I will try to come home more often, the knight smiled. Then, suddenly his father turned to talk about Kai. I heard the rumors, people say the young master has matured lately, is that true? Hearing his father's question, the blonde man pondered for a bit, thought about recent events and nodded. Yes, he has become much more responsible. Thinking about his son being a bodyguard for that troublesome young master, the man said with emotion, I didn't expect you to be Master Kai's bodyguard for so long. In response, Leonhardt himself was slightly surprised. Yes, originally I planned to complete the mission and return to the Celtarian Knights to further my career. But now, at this, his expression became thoughtful. And as a father, the man immediately noticed the change in his son, so he asked, "So, have you changed lately?" "I'm not sure about that," Leonhardt shook his head. Staring at the fishing line in front of him, the knight became deep in thought, remembering the memory of that day. After they cleared the dungeon while Ursil was resting, Kai spoke up. "I've always wanted to give you a new sword. The one you used before was too weak to withstand the power of a high-level knight. If you put your full force into it, the sword would certainly snap. That's why you always had to hold back your power when using it. Isn't that right?" Opposite him, Leonhardt saw that Kai was completely correct and his face displayed disbelief. "How did you know?" "Because I study a bit. A mage needs to know the basics of power and magic," Kai shrugged. Truth be told, most of it was learned from playing games, Kai thought to himself and continued. "You've needed a new sword for a long time, but since you were always by my side as a bodyguard, you missed the chance to get a sword worthy of yourself. I feel a bit guilty about that, but now that you finally have a new sword, I'm less worried." Back to Leonhardt, Kai suddenly saying such mushy things made the knight get goosebumps. "Why is he acting like this all of a sudden? I'm very grateful." Thinking this, Leonhardt said, "But Master Kai, you don't need to worry about such things." "Oh, what are you talking about? Of course I have to care, Leonhardt, you're my knight," Kai said with a smile. Those words kept echoing in the knight's mind. "My knight, Lord Marquis never said that to me. Benton has had many loyal people around him since he was young, so I could never fit in with them. Whether it was skills or the relationship with the master, I couldn't compare." The more he thought, the deeper Leonhardt's expression became. To the point that even without saying it out loud, his father sensed it and offered advice. "Just do what's in your heart. You've always been someone determined to follow through, and when you put your mind to something, just like when you join the guild. Even though our family is just a baronial house, we only have titles and can't afford a proper sword teacher for you, but when you were 15, you entered the selection exam on your own and were accepted into the guild. You probably already know what you want in your heart, you just haven't realized it yet. Don't worry about our family. Renton isn't the type to demand repayment from you. Besides, you're not the only knight he has, right?" the man said with a smile, making Leonhardt feel embarrassed. "Well, that's a complicated feeling." Hearing his father's advice, the knight's face became more relaxed. "But I think you're right, father. Now, with him, I'm the only one." At the same time, his father's fishing line was suddenly pulled hard. "Oh, something bit, look at the way it's moving. It's definitely a big fish. Pull hard." "Yes, sir," Leonhardt responded. Time passed until the evening. At this moment, not knowing what he was thinking, Kai suddenly sought out Adolf and told him that Aben had come to recruit him. Sure enough, after hearing it, Adolf was startled. "What? Aben came to recruit you? Hey Kai. You didn't agree, did you? Why are you telling me now?" Seeing him panic, Kai reached out to reassure him. "No, of course not. If I had agreed, I wouldn't be telling you. I was quite surprised when Aben suddenly came to talk to me. He's never said a word to me before. Honestly, he's a bit scary, and there's also the age gap," the teenager explained calmly. As if trusting Kai's words, Adolf shed his panicked expression and began to badmouth Aben. "Why would he approach you without an ulterior motive? He's always like that. If there's nothing in it for him, he won't bother. Now that he sees you studying magic, he's definitely trying to play the good older brother. When you were sick, he didn't even look your way. What a shameless person." The more he spoke, the more frustrated Adolf became. If someone didn't know their true nature, they'd think the two were close, but there was some truth to it. Because Adolf was genuinely worried. "I almost thought Aben would steal him away, but this kid is mine. With Borong Jerome's death, I can't afford to lose any more strength, so I can't let this happen. He's still just a child with one magic circle, but that's better than nothing. Besides, the kid has a lot of potential," Adolf muttered to himself. Meanwhile, the protagonist heard those moving words and almost vomited his food. "You didn't care for me when I was sick. If that's the case, then you're just as bad, Adolf. Aben's approach is so clear, it only shows he values me now, not because I'm special. To survive and defeat the immortal darkness threatening the family's safety, I need the strength of the Celtarian family, a family of swordsmanship. And to save the family's survival, I have to crush Adolf's ambition first." To reinforce Adolf's belief in him, Kai reminded him, "I also think Big Brother has been secretly doing something lately." Hearing this, Adolf actually already had people monitoring all of Aben's actions. He bought a lot of grain from the Enfelum region, but why would he need so much grain? "Grain? Actually, I bought a bit for my magic research, but his big brother's studying magic too," Kai added. "Let's see, but he doesn't have a magic circle. That's strange. So you don't know anything about that either?" He turned to look at Kai, hoping for an answer. But the response was just a shake of the head. "No, I'm sorry, I haven't heard anything." Hearing this, Adolf wasn't very surprised. "Fine then, anyway, just focus on your magic studies, become strong enough so that one day you can help your older brother." he said, handing him a book. The protagonist quickly reached out to take the book. Yes, I'll be taking my leave. Switching to little Ursul's location, suddenly the maid Daisy's voice rang out before her. You look down on me too, don't you? I didn't volunteer to be a spy for Adolf. My family is being held hostage. Adolf is a terrifying person. He will use every means necessary to achieve his goal, so I have no choice but to follow orders. She shouted, but Ursul didn't seem to pay her any mind. Never show yourself in front of Master Kai again, Ursul reminded her coldly. Huh, but I want to. Ursul, you're so lucky not to have a family to hold you back. Daisy sneered and left quickly. Meanwhile, as if sensing her master's mood dipping, Fluffy flew over and chirped to comfort her. Seeing this, Ursul's face lit up with a small smile. It's all right, I have Master Kai so I don't feel lonely. Huh, are you suggesting I search for information about my family? No, that's too difficult. I don't even know if they're still alive, and I don't want to become a burden to Master Kai anymore. She shook her head, then fell into deep thought. I know what happens to women sold from that place. If I hadn't met Master Kai then, perhaps I would have also. To avoid becoming a burden to Kai, Ursul decided, I will become stronger because Master Kai is the one who saved me. Time passed quickly, switching to the training ground, where Kai was using his magic to create a blazing fire that rose high into the air. Then he shouted, Firebolt, and thrust his palm forward. The flame shot toward the target dummy opposite him. With a single impact, the flame blew the dummy to pieces. Kai clenched his fist in excitement. All right, very good, I've completely mastered Firebolt. At the same time, Kai received a notification. Second magic circle, Firebolt reached 100% efficiency. Right on time, I've reached the second magic circle, Kai said joyfully to himself. Meanwhile, seeing Kai succeed, little Ursul waddled over to congratulate him, then asked, You've practiced magic hard, would you like to rest? As if he had planned it beforehand, Kai shook his head. No, I still have a few other things to do. I'm going to Bryanus to recruit new talent, the protagonist thought with a smile. But unfortunately, Leon was completely against it. Absolutely not. Kai asked why not. Leon put his hands on his hips and repeated, Anywhere but Bryanus. And why, you ask? Surely you know the reason, right? Kai thought dejectedly. Oh man, of course I know. Drinking, auctions, gambling, prostitution, casinos, and so on. Bryanus is a city of endless pleasures. By the standards of the world I lived in before, it's practically an off-limits city for minors. The last time you came here, you gambled and lost the shirt off your back at the casino. You even got sold into the slave market, remember? I was the one who rescued you. And after that, you swore never to gamble again. Kai felt utterly tormented. This karma is still haunting me. He reassured Leon, I'm not going there to have fun this time, I just have a small errand to take care of at the arena. Leon's voice grew even sharper. The arena, not satisfied with the casino, now you're planning to bet on gladiators? Absolutely not. Kai felt helpless against his train of thought. Leon refused flat out. The arena is even worse. After finally returning to normal, I can't let you go to such a dangerous place again. Stay in the mansion. He shouted and slammed the room door shut. No matter how much you called out, he refused to turn back. Kai thought with difficulty, I must get to Bryanus. I can't believe he's this stubborn. Suddenly Ursul called out, Master Kai. Holding a bottle of sleeping potion in her hand, she asked whether she should cry or simply drop it into the soup. Her suggestion caught him by surprise. What? This little girl's personality is way too unusual. Kai sighed, leaning back in his chair. I thought that stubborn guy was the biggest obstacle, but I can't waste any more time. This is the only chance to track his movements accurately. Kimsui Sharon. He is the protagonist in Mythical Defense. Being the protagonist, he possesses considerable stats and potential. His initial setup is a swordsman. He can branch out into other skill paths, but if trained as a swordsman by default, he displays almost overwhelming power. Sharon has proven to be a formidable force. If we recruit him early, he will be a powerful asset in defeating the Dark Immortals later on. And right now, Sharon is located in the Bryanus Underground Arena. Today, a fierce match is also taking place. The spectators are cheering loudly. The announcer loudly stated, Thanks for waiting. Now let me introduce the undefeated champion of the Bryanus Arena, the Sword Demon. A scruffy kid with orange hair walked out slowly. His expression was completely blank. The viewers couldn't believe their eyes. What? That kid is the Sword Demon, that skinny kid, the person next to him explained. You don't get it at all. First time here, right? That kid might look weak, but he climbed to this position using just a single sword. It's truly terrifying. Rumor has it his personality changes the moment he holds a sword. The Sword Demon rolled his eyes and his attitude changed completely. He took momentum and leaped high. The other gladiators panicked. The Sword Demon chased right behind them like a wicked fiend wielding a sword. His expression seemed to turn into that of a completely different person. You can't escape. The sword in his hand flashed, instantly finishing off someone who was fleeing. The entire blade was stained red. The Sword Demon asked excitedly, So who's next? Then all the gladiators were quickly eliminated by him until the last person fell. The audience outside cheered and rooted with excitement. The MC announced loudly, That's the Sword Demon, another overwhelming victory. The Sword Demon is as fired up as ever. It's astonishing that with such a slender body, he can tear apart gladiators much larger than himself. Unlike his youthful appearance, a voice constantly echoed inside the sword demon's head. Kill more, we need to kill more, shed more blood. Just as negative thoughts were about to take over his mind, the sword demon's eyes suddenly went wide. He collapsed to the spot in agony. The sword in his hand also dropped to the ground. Then he passed out. When he opened his eyes, he found himself back in the cell. He slowly woke up panting. His whole body didn't feel very well. He moaned continuously. One guard asked, "That kid looks like he's about to pass out again. What if he dies?" The other guard replied indifferently, "Forget it. His body isn't fully developed yet and he exerted himself too violently, so he's in pain. But if left alone, he'll recover on his own." The guard exclaimed in surprise, "He recovers on his own? He's a monster. But it's shocking that a kid like that is the sword demon. Where on earth did they find someone like him?" The other replied, "Who knows? Word is he wandered from one arena to another, just a kid with no place to call home. No one knows if his parents died or abandoned him. He only goes by that name." The guard wondered curiously. "A name? Even the sword demon has a name. What is it?" Kai stroked his chin. "Sharon. He's my age, meaning he's 13 years old now. In the Bryanus arena, he is known by the moniker Sword Demon." His expression became more excited than ever. "If Sharon becomes my man, he'll be a massive asset. I have to approach him before he leaves the arena. Can't miss this chance. Sharon is a talented piece in my plan." That evening, they immediately prepared a banquet for Leon. "Looks delicious. Let's eat. Enjoy your meal. Thanks for the food." Kai and Ursula ate while staring fixedly at Leon. After seeing him swallow a spoonful of soup, both of them opened their eyes wide in anticipation. This was a crucial step in Kai's strategy, and stubborn Leon was victim number one. The night grew late. Kai stealthily cracked the room door open. Following behind him was Ursula. "Is anyone around?" She shook her head and replied, "No, Leon is fast asleep. The carriage is ready at the back door." Kai gave her a thumbs up. "Good job, now we just need to get through the hallway." Saying that, he asked himself, "Wait, why are we sneaking around like this?" Leon's voice rang out from behind them. "That's what I'd like to know. You even tried to make me take medicine." Kai was startled by him. "Leon, why are you awake?" He asked angrily, "Did you really think a sleeping pill would work on me? I flushed it out using my aura." Kai reproached himself inwardly. "I underestimated a high-ranking knight. But with the magical sleeping potion I concocted, I thought it would put you into an eternal slumber." Leon asked coldly, "So what on earth are you two planning? Trying to drug me to sleep and sneak out of the mansion alone? What's next? Are you seriously planning to go to Bryanus?" And Ursula, as the head maid, "You should have stopped Master Kai from leaving. What were you thinking going along with him?" Kai hurriedly intervened. "Hold on, Leon. Ursula didn't do anything wrong. I was the one who persuaded her, so don't blame her." Leon sighed. "Master Kai, the security situation in Bryanus has gotten worse since your last visit. Bryanus is the most dissolute city on the continent, definitely not a suitable place for a girl like her. It's too dangerous." Leon said, "Of course, with Master Kai's magic, you could blow up the whole city to defend yourself. But is that really the kind of commotion you want to cause?" His words made Kai pause for a moment. Then he broke into a mysterious smile. "Yeah, I'm going to cause a commotion just that big." The answer surprised Leon. He continued, "But Leon, you're right, I can't do this alone. I'll be honest, I plan to destroy the slave arena in Bryanus and free the gladiators imprisoned there. That's why I need to go to Bryanus. But to pull this off, I need you by my side. I know this is sudden, but I've been thinking about this for a long time. I can't bear to watch kids my own age suffer like that anymore. I don't want to see it. Leon, will you help me?" Looking at Leon's expression touched by righteousness, Kai knew right away that this kind of persuasion always worked on him. "Well, I do intend to rescue Sharon anyway, so freeing the slaves isn't even a lie." A few days later in the Bryanus casino, someone appeared who caught everyone's attention. Wherever this person went, he drew the gazes of everyone around. Because no matter what card game he played, he won every single hand. Kai smiled and laid down his cards, straight flush, 4 of a kind. The onlookers marveled. Master Kai won again. Good grief, how many games has he won today? Even the dealer has been swapped out 3 times. Kai smiled smugly. Too easy. My intuition for picking cards is awesome. Before coming to the Bryanus casino, they managed to persuade Leon, but Ursula couldn't enter here. However, they couldn't just walk straight down to the underground arena. And if they couldn't enter directly, they would just make them come to us first. After winning consecutive card games, someone from Bryanus approached him just as expected. "Master Kai, you're amazing." Kai glanced over and saw Riddle applauding him. "A true gentleman blessed with fortune indeed." This was the master of Bryanus, the son of Viscount Remington. Kai replied indifferently, "This is nothing." Riddle suggested instead, "How about one more game, all in?" But he tossed down the cards in his hand, not interested. Card games are boring now. Kai asked Riddle cunningly, "Isn't there anything more exciting? Something with blood and screams, something much more thrilling." Hearing that, Riddle immediately understood. "Actually, there is such a thing. Please follow me." Before leaving, he didn't forget to instruct Leon, "Remember to collect all the winnings." Riddle walked ahead, completely confident in his judgment. The attendant nearby asked worriedly, "Are you really going to stake all the money? If you do that, we'll run out of funds." Riddle waved his hand dismissively. Just hand it over. We'll take it all back anyway. Let's start by letting him win a few rounds to build up his interest, then we'll bleed him dry. Kai Kaltarian, I was worried when I heard rumors that he had matured, but he's still the same. Last time his father warned him carefully. Kai is coming to Bryanus, I wonder what he's here for. But Riddle thought probably nothing at all, he just came here to play. Don't worry, father, I'll handle that fool. Even if there are rumors he changed, that's just nonsense. He was born to cause trouble and people don't change that easily. Riddle said confidently to his father, maybe he's just tired of pretending to be good at home and couldn't resist coming out to play. If I flatter him and let him win some money, he'll be satisfied. The Viscount sighed. All right, I'll leave it in your hands, Riddle. He thought happily to himself, don't worry, father, I'm going to skin him to the bone. Riddle led the way while saying, not just anyone can enter here, only Master Kai, I'm revealing this as a special privilege. Riddle rubbed his palms together, you understand my loyalty, right? Kai had no choice but to nod. Fine, I get it. Riddle beamed from ear to ear, I'm sure you'll be satisfied, we have everything you could possibly want. Responding to him, Kai simply said, I'm truly looking forward to it. He muttered to himself inwardly, that's right. I'm really looking forward to watching everything you hold dear get completely destroyed.